Thank you. Let's settle down, let's sit down. Good morning, colleagues, both here in the Excellent Park main hall and all those joining online across Transnet. Welcome to this critical GCE broadcast. Today we gather to join hands with the leadership as Transnet embarks on the Reinvent for Growth strategy. But before we do that, it is imperative that we start with what matters most, your safety. So it's important that you settle down and I take you through this. So for the colleagues here in the main hall, please familiarize yourself with the emergency evacuation procedures. In case of emergency such as fire or any other hazards, remain calm and proceed to the nearest exits. Exits are clearly marked at the front, rear and sides entrances of the hall. I'm sure you can see the demarcation and the labeling, the signage. Follow the direction of the designated fire marshals. They are in the room and at the lobby wearing reflector vests who will guide you to safety. Once outside, gather at designated assembly points in the parking area marked by signage and await instructions, further instructions there. Do not re-enter the building until it is cleared and declared safe by emergency personnel for reoccupation. Ablution facilities located adjacent to the hall's main entrance. At the lobby, on the both sides of the lobby area, there is ablution facilities demarcated for both males and females. Use those that you can relate to for your convenience. For those that are joining us online, ensure that the area where you are seated and viewing the broadcast is safe and compliant with the Transnet safety protocols and cardinal rules. Familiarize yourself with the evacuation procedures of your facility. Know your nearest exits, assembly points, emergency protocols specific to your location. Ensure your sitting area is free of hazards such as clutter, exposed cables, unstable furniture, and avoid slippery or wet surfaces. Keep the emergency exits in your viewing area clear and accessible. If you are viewing from a shared viewing space, be considerate of others. Avoid making noise to ensure that everyone can hear the broadcast clearly. Maintain good etiquette by refraining from disruptive behavior and respecting your colleagues' focus. Report any hazard and unsafe conditions in your viewing area. These measures are there to ensure that you are safe and those around you are also safe whilst watching the broadcast. So, as we launch this Reinvent for Growth strategy, let us reaffirm that safety is everybody's responsibility. We've got a safety 10-point plan which equips us with the tools, but it's our collective action that brings it to life. As we move forward, let's put safety at the center of our agenda and grow Transnet into a world-class organization. Together, we can deliver on the commitment of Reinvent for Growth strategy safely. Thank you for your attention and your commitment to safety. Let's make today's broadcast a step towards a safer, stronger Transnet. Gabo.
Meet Derek, Bongani and Zinhle, three proud Transnetters, each playing a crucial role in making Transnet stronger, better and faster. They are on a mission to transform Transnet into a more efficient, reliable and profitable operation that doesn't just support South Africa's economy, but helps it thrive on the global stage. But how are we doing this? It's all thanks to our Reinvent for Growth strategy, a clear plan to work smarter, boost profitability, and ensure Transnet continues to grow, benefiting both our company and our country. So what's this Reinvent for Growth all about? It's our answer to the challenges we've faced over the years. Things like aging infrastructure, delays, theft, and vandalism. Our strategy boils down to 3 simple steps. 1, improve how we work to optimize operations. 2, change how we do business to be more efficient and collaborative. And 3, enable growth for South Africa by driving economic development. Our people in action, Derek, Bongani, and Zinhle, know the journey hasn't been easy, but they committed to making it work. They understand that when Transnet performs at its best, it makes South Africa stronger, creating jobs and boosting the economy. Derek, a crane operator at port terminals, is all about efficiency and safety. By optimizing crane movements and following strict safety measures, he ensures ships are loaded and unloaded quickly, reducing delays and keeping things running smoothly. Bongani, a train driver at Freight Rail, is dedicated to keeping trains on time. Using advanced tracking systems and close coordination with the signaling teams, he helps make sure our rail network runs reliably, helping us hit our on-time targets. Zinhle, a senior controller at Transnet Pipelines, she keeps products flowing safely and on schedule, using new technology to protect the network and ensure every customer order arrives on time. Across all 7 divisions, the team is making it happen. At engineering, it's all about maintaining wagons and locomotives. Their new maintenance strategy keeps trains reliable, supporting the entire logistics chain. The newly established Rail Infrastructure Manager oversees an extensive rail network, providing safe and efficient infrastructure for train operators while enhancing connectivity across South Africa and the region. National Ports Authority, they are experts at keeping ports running smoothly, getting ships in and out quickly to reduce congestion and keep South Africa's trade moving. And Transnet Property, there we see growth where others see unused assets. Derek, Bongani, Zinhle, and thousands of Transnetters across all divisions know that success comes from working together. By embracing the Reinvent for Growth strategy, they're not just moving Transnet forward, they're moving South Africa forward. Together, we can build a brighter future. Together, we grow.
Greetings, wonderful Transnetters. Before I begin, I would like to thank each of you for taking the time to join this broadcast this morning. Indeed, your presence reflects a shared commitment to staying informed, engaged, and aligned to the goals of our business. You are the beat of Transnet. Welcome to this special broadcast featuring our Group Chief Executive, Advocate Michelle Phillips, alongside our Group Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Nosipho Maphumulo, Chief Strategy and Planning Officer, Dr. Andrew Shaw, Group Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Solile Tswalo, and our Chief of People Management and Learning, Mr. Itumeleng Matsika. It's a real honor, colleagues, to facilitate our first engagement session of this new financial year. And I know many of you are eager to gain insights into our company's direction and the key priorities that are shaping our future. Over the past year, Transnet has navigated significant challenges with a renewed focus on operational excellence, financial recovery, and rebuilding stakeholder confidence. And recognizing the urgency of this transformation, we have taken decisive steps to stabilize operations, improve efficiencies, and lay a very strong foundation for long-term success. This broadcast this morning really comes at a pivotal moment for our organization. And throughout today's conversations, we will explore the changes that are currently underway. And one of the key highlights is the unveiling of our new strategy, Reinvent for Growth, which sets the course for our future. Colleagues, we encourage you to engage with us, so please share your questions via the Teams chat or email to gce@transnet.net. Once again, that is gce@transnet.net. And while we may not be able to address every question during this session, do rest assured that the responses will be provided afterwards. And now, to kick off our discussion, I would like to invite Michelle to share her reflections on the past financial year. And Michelle, if you can share with us what went well and what were some of the challenges that we faced as Transnetters. Let me hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Lerato. Good morning, Transnetters. I didn't know it was going to be a live audience. I'm always running away from cameras, but it is what it is. It's good to be here with all of you. I'm so grateful and appreciative for those of you who have made the time, but also for those who remain in the trenches, working very hard to make this organization survive. Now, I think, Lerato, we're unveiling the Reinvent for Growth strategy. For short, we'll say R for G, and we'll make sure that everybody understands that acronym, because it's very important as we, as Transnetters, transform this organization into that which we want it to be, so that it can serve this country, and so that we can ensure a better life for all in this country. But I think we need to start at the beginning. They always say you have to remember where you come from. Being the GCE of Transnet, I always remind myself of the places I don't want to return to. Right? That is what keeps me moving forward. So it's important that we reflect on our history and where we've come from. So 2023, last year, the year before, 2023, you see time flies when you're having fun. October 2023, we released the results. The country was very, very upset with all of us in Transnet. Our customers were not happy. Why? We had posted a huge loss, but more than that, the volumes that we are expected to move in this country was sitting at 149 million tons. We then had to very quickly rally all of you and speak to everyone, speak to our customers, go to our funders and say, how are we going to get ourselves out of this huge hole that we found ourselves in? And as we reported last year, everybody came to the party. Yes, there was still a big loss, but we had promised our customers that we would not leave them worse off than they were the year before. And we delivered on that promise, and we delivered 151.7 million tons, right? Yes. This past financial year, 24-25, and you know better than me, this was not an easy year. It was a very difficult year. But at the same time, thanks to all of you, we've been able to deliver 160 million tons. We did that when everyone was against us, not only locally in this country, internationally. We were in the papers for all of the wrong reasons, right? You recall 23 vessels sitting outside of Pier 2. I can tell you that today, vessels are berthing on arrival in all of South African ports, right? Because of the hard work of every single Transnetter, right? We have, you talk about the things that have led to the successes. We've been able to invest in critical port equipment that has enabled us to work through the backlog that we had experienced previously, right? Now the push, when we talk about Reinvent for growth, is to keep attracting more and more volumes to this country, and the only way we are going to do that is if we improve on our efficiencies and we continue to do the best that we can with what we have, okay? On the rail side, 160 million tons, as I've said it. Everybody, TFR team, the ports offloading, the train departing, bringing cargo, increasing the number of trains that we've been moving. I have to say shout out to TE, 45 locomotives in 1 year. 1 year. Previously, we were doing what, Bessie, 22 locomotives. 45. And I think we did it in 10 months. Not even a full year, right? On the rail side, the team has been working non-stop to up the standard of the network. We've been able to replace stretches, kilometers of rail. We've been able to lift speed restrictions and enhance efficiencies in that way. We've been able to move more trains, right? Our customers are beginning to sing a different tune. They're singing the music that we want them to sing, right? Now, is the work over? No. The hard work, colleagues, has only just begun. None of you are here by accident, okay? When I started in Transnet in 1999, I said, okay, so I've joined this army and I have to serve this country. And I believe that that is why each and every one of you is here and will be here tomorrow and will be here next year and the year after, until such time that we get Transnet back to the 200s and up. Do we agree, colleagues? Nobody said it was going to be easy, right? But he didn't bring us this far to leave us. Okay? So as we go forward, we're going to keep working with everything that we have. I know Nosipo's going to come and talk to us, the difficult talk about the money. But it is an important message, colleagues. We will celebrate every success, no matter how small. But we have to also remember that unfortunately we remain a loss-making organization. It is no use I'm going to come here and I'm going to sugarcoat. I've made one promise from the start of me taking this position that I will always be open and honest and transparent with all Transnetters and every person who comes here to want to serve this country, okay? We remain in a very difficult financial position. The strategy that we are unveiling here today is to get everybody excited about the future and the building of a resilient Transnet, okay? This past year, like I said, has come with a lot of difficulty. There was no money being given to us by anybody. We went and borrowed more money. And why did we do that? Because we knew you needed equipment. We knew that you needed locomotives. We know that you needed your wagons. We know that the TNPA needed to bring in tugs. They needed to up their marine services so that we can bring vessels in and out. And across the board, in all of the ODs, we had to focus on those items that we felt would turn the dial. And later on, when Solly talks to you about the improvement in efficiencies, all it's going to tell you is, this is where we are. We know where we've come from now, but the journey is still a long journey. And we are going to have to travel that journey together. I'm in it. I'm excited about that train trip. And I'm hoping that all of you are going to be excited with me. Okay? It's not going to be easy, colleagues. We are going to be expecting a lot more from you. My focus, it keeps me awake at night, so does it with my leadership team, is to keep every single one of you employed. Employed. Everything that we do going forward must be, one, to ensure that we improve our efficiencies so that we can move more volumes, because we do not make money if we do not move volumes. As soon as a train stops, volume does not move. As soon as the train is not working, we do not make money. So in everything that you do, every day, when you come to work in the morning, we must remember our work here, our purpose is to touch the lives of ordinary South Africans in everything that we do. You come to work with pride, because when your kids follow, they must understand the journey that you've walked. Okay? We are not here by accident. We have a purpose, and we will serve that purpose. Across the board, I am extremely grateful for every single person's contribution. And those who may feel that they may not be contributing as they should, come and have a conversation again. Because in this organization, everybody works. Agreed, colleagues? Everybody works. And if we see our brothers and our sisters maybe not pulling their weight, whisper in the ear. Because we are not only saving ourselves and saving Transnet, we are saving this country. There's a reason we say we are the beat. I'm going to stop because I've gone completely off script. But you know me. I'm sorry. My apologies. You know me. I have to speak what's in my heart. Okay? We are in one house. We are one family. We will make this family survive. We will go through all of our problems. The little naughty one there in the corner, we will deal with that one, but we will get him out of that corner, or her out of that corner, and we will keep moving trains, and we will keep moving bulk volumes and break bulk and commodities and containers and cars and whatever they want us to move. We will move everything that there is to move in this country. Okay? Thank you very much.
Michelle, thank you so much for that message. I believe it was necessary. And it's always great to see a leader that leads with passion, rallying us all together to achieve the dream. As she always says, our purpose and our ultimate mandate is to move South Africa out of poverty. And I believe with the message that she just shared now, colleagues, we are motivated and encouraged to do that, because that is our responsibility as Transnetters, and we can do it. And as I would now like to move over to our Chief of People Management and Learning, Dumi Matseka. And just following through to what Michelle just said, Dumi, Transnet employees continue to be critical to the success of our organization. And the people team was very key in ensuring that we achieve some of the recovery targets that were linked to the people management team. Can you share with us what the team delivered in line with the recovery plan in the last financial year?
All right. I didn't know that we were going to have performance management in public. But that's the transparency and accountability that we talk about, right? So I'll duly oblige Lerato. But before I go into that, I think we did quite well last year. We did great stuff. But I just wanted to share an anecdote with you. I think, Michelle, if you don't mind, they said you've got 30 minutes to talk, and you said, do I talk that long? And I said, yesterday you took an hour at the SLF. And after she spoke, I sent her a note to say inspirational, right? So I had goosebumps at the end of her contribution to the SLF yesterday. I have goosebumps sitting here and listening to you this morning, because I think we are wanting to create a culture where we want to be here, right? We must choose to be here. And if we don't want to be here, then we must have... okay, Becky, can you follow Becky that was giving us thanks for the relief, Becky. So I think with everything else, colleagues, we started our culture journey in 2022, and I think, Michelle, you continue to talk about a journey. And this is a journey that we've been on, and it's a journey where we want to make things good for Transnet. It's a journey where we want to right the wrongs of the past. A lot has happened that has not been right. We have not treated people well in the past. We still don't treat people well in this organization, and that's one thing that keeps me getting out of bed. I was saying to the boss this morning I was not feeling too groovy, but I came out, right? Because my conviction is to make sure that we are in an organization that treats people the way we all wanted to be treated. So we do get reports on a daily basis, thousands of emails around ill treatment of people, and we do deal with those kind of things. But overall, I think Transnet is a good place to be in. I think we are poised for success. I think we are going to achieve what we've set ourselves out to do. The team wanted me also to talk about high-performance culture and what it means. So basically, how we balance the investment in people and the investment in business. But I must say, you've got to make money first before you invest, right? So I think to an extent that we continue to do relatively well, you guys would have seen, and I always take a moment for a commercial moment to talk about the investment that we have in people on an annual basis. It goes up to R1 billion. And we've got to repeat that over and over and over again, because I think people either do not realize that or people are unaware. There are some questions that have been asked here around development of people. And I'm a bit disappointed that spending R1 billion per annum, training close to 27,000 people who go through the Transnet Academy, we still have people that are unaware of the developmental opportunities that we have in this organization. And I think statistics, as they say, don't lie, because there's also this mantra that, we hire people from outside. I think if I sit here and I look here, maybe not such a good representation, but most of the people that are in senior positions, most of the people that are in leadership in these organizations are the timber that we develop from internal. You just need to look at the CEs that are sitting there in the front row. You just need to look at the recent appointments that we've made. So 95% of all promotions, movements arise from internal. Lerato, I think it could actually be up to 97, 98%. And that is a result of systems that we've put in place. The one important system that we've put in place is the recognition of current competence, where we do not hire, we do not promote people like we did before based only on qualifications, but we recognize current competence, and you would see when we advertise jobs that it becomes part of the requirements that we have, right? So these things are all linked to all that we do here, including the supervisory development program. At the end of this year, we would have hit 2,500 supervisors, and Lerato will correct me, I think it's NQF5, right? Qualification, right? So those supervisors that didn't have matric in the past, those that did not have qualifications in the past, can now compete. But more importantly, they can compete internally and externally, because as the boss was reminding me in the morning, that we develop people for Transnet and we develop people for the country. So that's our role in South Africa. That's our mandate in South Africa. It's a developmental mandate as much as it's a commercial mandate. So we do a lot of things, Lerato. I mean, we've had several programs that we've put in place, around junior, middle management. I think there's a program that's coming up for training there. We had the women's development program. I think we're now into cohort 5. Each cohort takes about 30 to 40 executive women, and it's goosebump stuff to see people going and learning, some of them for the first time in their career. So we have promoted people previously, put them into senior roles, but we didn't capacitate them to be able to manage people and manage people in the right manner. So we are starting, we are working on that. We have a lot of technical operations, functional training that we've done. And I was reflecting the other day, and maybe my hair doesn't show because of my new hairstyle. But I was reflecting, and I've worked for quite a few companies. We invest a lot in bursaries for our staff. All right? So let that sink in. I think almost all of us here, one way or the other, have been through a Transnet internal bursary scheme, right? So we've got to recognize that, because when times are tough, we tend to beat ourselves up. But I'm just sharing with you some of these things that we have done in the past. Going forward, in the next 6 to 12 months, you would see a lot of us at the back of the hashtag R4G. I had to say that to show that I'm still young. Hashtag R4G. We are going to be focusing on accountability, on 3 things: accountability, high performance culture, consequence management, because those that are also not doing what they need to do, we need to manage them nicely, right? For them to be able to do what they need to do. Performance management is important, and Michelle, I don't think I've shared with the EXCO, but I was wowed. Last week I was on leave, but I checked what was happening with the uptake of the IPMP, the performance management system. The uptake is very high. It's very high. So I think you guys can give yourselves a round of applause for that. So performance management is going to remain a key topic. Recognition is going to be something that we're going to bring onto the fore. Dr. Adele is here at the back there. They tell me that the recognition app is up and coming, where we can recognize people. And I know people say, but where's the money? Chelete guy. But I would rather have someone recognizing me, right, non-monetarily than otherwise. If you go into my office here, there is a little tag that I've got on my door. That is 10 years old. That was given to me by my previous team. And they recognize me through, that little note that they have. And I carry it everywhere with me because it means a lot, right? That is intrinsic motivation. That is intrinsic recognition. And I think it's much more important than anything else. Training, I think I've spoken about, so that's something that we will continue doing. I have to ask for money from NOSIPO and justify myself from time to time, and that's why I take these opportunities, NOSIPO, to show you that your money is not going to waste, that it is being well invested, as you can see here today. EAP is going to be key going forward, right? And I think there's one thing that's close to my heart, is the issue of affordability. And we've gone to market, I think, and we're going to look at the a program of financial wellness, financial well-being, rehabilitate people that are in debt, and get them to participate as able citizens in the country. We're doing that in conjunction with the housing program, working with CAPEI, the pension fund, to try and get our people access to I see Knox is here, trying to get people access into housing, but the issue of affordability remains one where people are caught up in debt, so we need to come up with a program that unburdens people from that particular perspective. Importantly, we're launching a Heal the Head program, and I think it was advertised, and that's something that is coming. I'm not too sure why it's not been applied to us, Andrew, because maybe we don't get as hurt as the other people. So, but we're starting, I think, at level C and below. Yeah, they say we've got tough skins. So, Heal the Head is a program that we will be launching across the program, the organization. We'll roll out the ethics program together with Sandra, because it's quite key as well. It's one of the things that we need to do to ensure that we isolate the skelms, or the skelms isolate or repent, as it were, you know. So we will do that as well. So I think, Lerato, I don't know how I've done, what you give me for that out of 10, but I tried to cover everything that we have done and everything that we are going to be doing in the short term, in a short space of time. Thank you very much, colleagues.
I think the message is very clear to me that the leadership continues to be committed to the development of employees, committed to their mental health, mental well-being, and ensuring that there are opportunities for growth and development within Transnet. So thank you to the team and the people management colleagues for the work that they have done in the previous year. And before we move, Dumi, I think it's important, colleagues, to acknowledge all of you. When we talk about driving high-performance culture and holding employees and all of us accountable for performance. Last week, as we reported to Dumi, over 78% of you went into the system, had ensured that their scorecards are updated, the mid-year reviews were completed, and you've started with your final year reviews. This is what we talk about when we talk about high-performance culture. So give yourselves a round of applause. So we continue with that in mind, and I want to come back to you, Michelle. You gave us a view of the recovery plan. Dumi shared with us what happened in the last financial year. And having stabilized our operations, I believe it's time that we need to shift the gears. And we are shifting the gears towards reinvention for growth. So what does this really mean for us as Transnet employees?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So, look, the recovery plan was largely about stabilizing operations and positioning Transnet for long-term sustainability. We were trying to save the organization. Everybody said you were in free fall, right? Our primary focus then was volume recovery, operational efficiencies, restoring service reliability across all of the divisions. And as I've indicated, we've made substantial progress. But we have to accept that we cannot continue to do and to be what we've been in the past. We need to grow and be better. And that is why we have to reinvent ourselves. It's the things that we do in our personal lives, but we're bringing it into the organization. This organization has to transform if it wants to survive. So now you talk about shifting the gears, right? We want to ensure sustainable growth. We want to ensure that we are resilient long term. What does that mean? It means improving asset reliability. Particularly, I spoke earlier about the locomotives. We are expecting more out of TE, right? Locomotives, rolling stock, port equipment, we need to reinvest, and we need to continue to invest in the critical equipment that we need, but we also need to sweat those assets. We want to enhance rail and port infrastructure. Why? Because we have to reduce the turnaround times of both trains and vessels. The faster we move these trains and vessels in and out, the more we can add into the system, The more volumes we move, the more revenue we earn. We want to get this business into a profitable state. We have to leverage digitalization. I'm going to apologize for those of us with the papers on the stage. You can see Nosipo and Solly have bought into this thing. We don't want to be killing trees anymore. We don't want worksheets and all of this stuff. We want to be able to say, there it is by the press of a button. We want to be able to send instructions across the operations. We want to digitize. Our procurement must be state of the art. We must not be looking for evidence when people come at us because we are trying to manage them, right? We want to be able to have a digitally transformed organization. And Opandalani is going to like me even more now because, you know, he really feels that he's living his purpose by doing all this fancy stuff. So, you know, these are the things that we're going to do. We want data-driven, seamless operations. Now, I know Dr. Shaw is going to give you a little bit more, but, you know, my message is that what we do now going forward is going to require bold action, strategic investments, and we must be relentless on our focus on operational excellence. Mr. Lutswalo is here because he's the one who is going to take us with all of our employees focusing on this issue of operational excellence. We want, together with everyone here, to be a high-performance culture in this organization. We must not be wondering who's doing what from day to day. You know, I can't be getting letters from people telling me that that one is not working. Right? We all want to be hands on deck. We want to be bold and we want to be seen. Right? And we want the country to recognize. Don't go mess with those people in Transnet now, leave them alone. All right? That's what we need, and that's why we're going to reinvent ourselves. But I'm going to leave the detail for Sean here. We've baptized him, we've given him a new name, so.
Check this. Thank you very much, GCE. We want to be relentless on our focus on operational excellence. And we want to be bold and we want to be seen. So in this new financial year, as we are launching our new strategy, I would like to also invite our Chief Strategy and Planning Officer, Dr. Andrew Shaw. Dr. Shaw, I would like you to share with the colleagues what this new strategy means for all of us and how it will shape our Transnet future. And I think it's important as well to acknowledge, colleagues, that strategy can sometimes feel a little bit complex. And this particular one, though, has really been designed to have clear actions, and it is aligned to our day-to-day operations. And as I hand over to Dr. Shaw, he will just share with us the key pillars of this Reinvent for Growth strategy. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Lorato, and thank you to you, Michelle, and to me for your inspirational words, like truly inspirational. And what I take away from this is a culture of real commitment that I see in Transnet, but that we really need to reinforce, and a culture to look at every avenue to drive volume and growth in the business. Otherwise, we are painted with this mantra that we're not delivering, and we have to turn that picture around. And we've seen that. We've seen the volumes shift around. We've started to see a real change within the organization, and we just need to accelerate that. So I have some slides, Lorato, that I'd like to share, if they can go onto the screen. And I'll just talk through, let's say, the complexities of the strategy. I wouldn't like to make it too complex, but just to try and put it into as simple terms as possible. In the run-up to building out the strategy, it was a very difficult time. We ended up having many more sessions with the board than we'd had in previous strategies. And that's because our task was to get this balance right. We're in a very difficult financial position, and Nosipo will share with you some of those challenges. At the same time, we have to drive volume, we have to drive operational effectiveness, and we have to meet the needs of transforming this sector, which is what government has set in place for us. It's no accident, I believe, that government has moved us away from the Department of Public Enterprises and given us to the Department of Transport, which is a policy department. That is a structural shift, and so we need to align to that shift as we put the strategy in place. Just in terms of the context and the strategy drivers, I'm going to start with this slide, and many of you may have seen this. This really just talks to the transformation that is happening at a government level. It is driven to a large extent by private sector stakeholders. They have particular interests, and we can talk about those interests. Our role here is to ensure that we protect what is ours in this business, and we grow this business in such a way that we reposition Transnet to be a structural enabler within the economy. That is what the Minister of Transport has been very clear with us. She has a target of 250 million tonnes. She doesn't see Transnet necessarily as the conduit to deliver all of that tonnage, but I think what Michelle's takeaway is we're going to capture as much of that tonnage as we can. That tonnage is ours, that we can hold. On the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see the National Rail Policy, which was released about mid-2023. The focus of that policy is to establish a competitive environment in rail. We already have the same sort of environment within the port sector. In the rail sector, we would separate into an infrastructure entity, a Transnet Freight Rail Infrastructure Manager, TRIM, and we would create a TFR, an operating entity. I think we've done extremely well there. I think TRIM should be congratulated in the separation, in setting in place a really structurally sound network statement. There's been a couple of iterations of that. We've really, I believe, impressed both industry and our shareholder around that transformational journey. The Freight Logistics Roadmap, which is termed FLR in the slide, is highlighted in a dotted box. And the reason that we've done that is because that really is our playbook for the Transnet strategy. We need to deliver a strategy that aligns to the Freight Logistics Roadmap. Where it comes from is a period when volume was really declining significantly, and Michelle mentioned this. Government and industry were very challenged by what Transnet was doing and why they were not delivering. The Freight Logistics Roadmap has some key elements against which they wish to realign the sector, realign Transnet. So what we've had to do is to get this balance right, where we transform Transnet at the same time as we drive for growth and improvement in performance. And I'll get to that in the next slide. But the Freight Logistics Roadmap is really key to us delivering that. The one element of that roadmap, which is sometimes very challenging within Transnet, is that it sees the role of the private sector in a PSP or in a partnership type of environment as really key to delivering the change within the broader freight logistics industry. What we have is the ability to influence that, and for me, that's really important. We want to make sure that where we partner with the right partner for the right outcome and to drive the right parameters around growth. The next element in this slide is around economic regulation of transport. The regulator has changed. It means that we will be a far more regulated business going forward. Then the Ports Act is around the corporatization of the National Ports Authority. Why has there been this drive to corporatize TNPA, to create its own board, is really to give it the opportunity to act as a regulatory authority for licenses within the ports environment. So to create a bit more of a separation between the operator, TPT, and the infrastructure provider and the license holder for terminal operations. That process, again, has moved very well. Again, I see within the TNPA environment a real shift and change around how that part of Transnet delivers. The board is very focused in that environment. The way that the corporatization has moved, I think, is as fast as we could possibly have expected, Michelle. And then on the right-hand side is a series of guarantee framework conditions. So when Michelle said we're in a very difficult financial circumstance, we went back to government and we said, we need help to get out of this position. They did not give us any cash. I think that's the most important thing to say. But they did give us the ability to go and borrow 47 billion on the basis that if we invested correctly, drive growth in the business, we will become more sustainable. But they put a number of conditions in place that we have to meet. I won't go into all the conditions in detail, but some of the key ones are the establishment of TRIM, the establishment of a rolling stock leasing company, which I'll come to, crowding in the private sector, corporatizing TNPA. All of those are structural changes that we've had to make within the Transnet environment. So this slide is the key slide. This slide really encompasses what we've put forward in the corporate plan. It's our commitment to government. I think it has been very well received, both by government and by industry. And our role this morning is really just to play it back to you in very simplistic terms. What does this mean? So the left-hand side of the slide focuses on fixing and optimizing the business. And Solly really holds this very difficult responsibility, but it's around moving what we can, driving up volume, improving port performance, making a difference in the economy, changing the trajectory of the downward reduction in volume, both in port and rail. It's going to be challenging, but already we see massive green shoots right across the business. As we were discussing yesterday, there is almost no congestion within the port environment. No vessels are waiting for extended period of times. Performance in all the terminals has improved, both from a bulk and a container perspective. On the rail front, you see a massive upward drive in volumes. We didn't think we'd meet the 160 million tons. When Russell came to me just before the close of the financial year and he said, Andrew, we're nearly there, it really is fantastic that we were able to reach that target. And I think we've surprised people out there. What you see within the media statements and industry is a very positive feedback coming back to Transnet. Yes, sure, they're saying keep your foot on the accelerator, don't stop. But what you are starting to see is this change in narrative from Transnet can't deliver to yes, Transnet is delivering. I think that's really important. So the tactical focus on fixing and optimizing is really core to us delivering what we need to. Michelle put it so nicely yesterday, and when this is in a discussion with our labor colleagues, which she said, you can't do anything else in this business unless you're delivering on the volume side. And I just think that's absolutely a really critical thing to take home with us today. Then we go into the central box, which is about transforming the business. Transforming the business is a little bit about meeting the requirements on the previous slide. It's how do we change this business in such a way that we meet the requirements of this new policy shareholder, we meet the requirements of opening up to competition, which is not comfortable. We meet the requirements of drawing the private sector in as partners, which again is not comfortable. We've not had to do this before. How do we do that in such a way that we grow the business, we ensure that our culture of collaboration and feedback and growing the business continues to be maintained, and we all draw the benefit from that transformational process. So we don't get fear around it, we see it as an opportunity. So from our standpoint, what we've tried to do is balance that requirement in the corporate plan that we've submitted to our shareholder. I think we've got the balance right, but in the next slide, I'll give you a sense that we're not out of the woods. The shareholder wants to drive this change faster than we perhaps do, and we just need to understand that. On the right-hand side is really the focus around making this big business bigger than it was. It's a bit of a culmination of the central block and the left-hand box. Growing the business is about growing the revenue returns to the business. It's about growing the business with the help of others. It's about transforming the business to meet the shareholder requirement, but in a way where it grows up to the 250 million tons where we enable growth in the economy. So in one of the shareholder meetings that I had been in previously, the Bureau for Economic Research basically indicates that if Transnet was able to, with its partners, deliver 250 million tons, we would grow the economy by an additional 2% per annum for the next 5 years. That is considerable. So our opportunity or our role is to contribute to this economy, grow it faster so that we can all benefit, both within Transnet and in terms of all the multipliers of jobs that will be created outside of Transnet. That is really our developmental mandate. So on this slide, what I've indicated is where we are in respect to the PSPs, because I often get the questions, well, how do the PSPs fit within this? The PSPs have two focuses. They focus a little on transformation, on transforming the business, meeting the shareholders' requirement, but they also focus on growing the business. On the right-hand side is the 5 PSPs that we've put into the corporate plan. The first is the rolling stock leasing company. For me, this is really low-hanging fruit. We have a lot of B-fleet diesel locomotives that are in poor or non-operational condition. We want to partner with somebody who brings the money to the table, takes those locomotives, brings them back to Transnet Engineering for repair, creating a huge opportunity for remanufacture and rehabilitation of rolling stock, additional jobs in those plants that are standing idle at this point in time, and then takes them back out to industry so that we can empower third-party operators, but also that we can empower ourselves. There's no reason why we can't lease some of that rolling stock back to ourselves. The next is the Richards Bay Dry Bulk Terminal. For those of you who've been there, it's a very antiquated terminal. We use ship's gear to load and offload in that terminal. It's in a prime position in Richards Bay. It has the opportunity to be nearly 3 times the size in volume terms. The private sector and our industry players have shown a strong interest in partnering in that terminal to drive additional volume, automate the terminal, create something that's much bigger for Transnet as well as for somebody else. Our opportunity there is to get into an equity-based relationship with somebody else to build and enhance that terminal substantially. The next one is around the Coca Manganese Export Corridor. As you know, we have to move out of the port of PE and we have to move across to Coca in terms of export of manganese. We need to upgrade that channel, the rail channel, and we need to build a completely new port terminal. We need to do that in collaboration with somebody else. As Michelle had indicated, and I'm sure Nasipa will tell you, we have no additional funding to put into big capital investments. But we do know that the industry, particularly in respect of the manganese exporters, the miners, have a real desperate need to uplift that channel. So they already wish to partner with us. That we would like to go out to market and expand that channel in such a way that it's able to deliver more volume, but in partnership with somebody else. The next area is the container corridor. The container corridor is driving up in volume terms. We know that it is working much more effectively than it could, but it needs substantial investment. And again, there's an opportunity for those freight owners that are road-based to begin to move their freight across to that container corridor. We would like to take that out to market. It also makes a considerable loss, which we need to offset from our books. In taking that loss away, it will have a substantial positive contribution to Transnet. And then the last one is Project Ukuvuselela, which is a project around moving automotives from Boltlu to the Eastern Cape. Government has already allocated us 2 billion for the infrastructure, so for us this is a really positive project. Those 3 projects are in the corporate plan. We've been asked to accelerate 2 of them, the Rolling Stock Leasing Company and Project Ukuvuselela, and we've been asked to slow down on the other 3. And the reason why there's a slowdown on the other 3 is because government has gone out to market for RFI, which is a request for information in 3 key areas, which you can see on the left of the slide. The first is a category which we call the ore group. It's manganese and iron ore. The second is an intermodal group, which is automotives and containers, but also includes things like forestry, agriculture, cement, so on. And then the last is the chrome coal magnetite group, which is largely the bulk commodities focused on the port of Richards Bay. We don't know what's going to come out of that RFI process. There's one point that is clear, is if we're delivering in Transnet, our opportunity to influence a positive outcome for Transnet through that process that DOT is running is that much stronger, and we should not forget that. If we take our foot off the accelerator and we allow volumes to decline, then government and the parties outside of government will use that opportunity to make substantial transformational changes within Transnet that we may not like. So in order for us to be in control of that process, to influence that process positively, we need to make sure that we can deliver the volumes and outcomes that are required. The last slide that I want to share with you is what we've committed to from a volume standpoint. In the corporate planning process, we have to commit to a financial plan, and we have to commit to a volume plan and a transformational plan. So if you go back to those 3 pillars, all of those are encapsulated within those 3 pillars. What have we said around volume? Well, first of all, we've closed out at 160 million tons. We didn't think we could do that. We've put a substantial target uplift for the next year, 25-26, 180 million tons. We think we can do it. And when I speak to the COO and I speak to Russell, I think they were worried, but I think they feel it's possible. And I don't want to steal your thunder, Solly, but from our standpoint, delivering that will be a real change to the entire focus of Transnet. That is a substantial target, but it will really show what Transnet can deliver. From a container standpoint, we'll have there's an uplift there of to 4.3 million TEUs moved through all the ports across the country. You see a slight reduction in 26, 27. The only reason for that is because the DCT2 terminal transaction, we hope will have taken effect by that point in time, which leaves us with a slightly reduced container volume. On the petroleum side, which is in the TPL environment, we have a very slight uplift in volume. We've tried to keep that realistic with market conditions, economic conditions. And then on the automotive side, which is the export of complete automotive units, we see a growth trajectory, and again, we've tried to make that as realistic as possible. So those are our four key volume metrics that we have committed to the shareholder. We want to get out of this process where we commit too much to the shareholder. We've kind of said to them, hold us to this volume delivery set of metrics. The more we can push volume, the more sustainable we can be, and the more we can help the economy. And I think we've got some traction there, Michelle, if I can say. We were still waiting for the shareholder to come back to us and agree with us around these metrics, but this is our targeted set of metrics. I just want to quickly, before I end, talk to the middle set of metrics. We know that third-party operators will come into the system. We have modeled how long it would take them to come into the system. Very few of them have any real rolling stock capability, and it takes a long time to buy and build rolling stock. So what you can see in the red is that the commitment to a rolling stock uplift over the next 5 years is aligned to our rail volume targets. So on the left-hand side at the top, those are Transnet targets. If you look in the middle, you will see there's a slightly light blue box. That shows the increase in volume of smaller private sector operators coming onto the network. We don't think that they will take our business tomorrow because they don't have any means of moving the product. So for those of you who are concerned that the private sector is going to come and take Transnet's volume and they're going to take it in a very rapid way, we don't see that. We see that we're operating most of our systems at the capacity that they were designed for. We have the rolling stock in place. We have massive improvements in the quality of what we are delivering. So we would be able to sustain those volumes going forward for the next 5 years. And we will have some private operators coming in. In a certain way, the private operators also help us because they bring some revenue in to the trim business that we would otherwise not have. So we should not see them completely as taking volume away from Transnet. I'm going to leave it there and hand back to you, Lerato. I hope that has helped to just articulate some of the detail of what we've committed to. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw, for providing that overview of the strategic direction. Colleagues, it's very clear. The targets are out for 25-26, 4 focus areas. We are talking about the total rail volumes and 180 million tons. We are continuing to push passion, right? And when we look at our port container volumes, that is 4,380,000 TEUs. Very clear. 778,000 units for port automotive volumes, as well as 14.8 billion liters on the pipeline volumes. Those are the 4 focus areas. Very clear, very actionable, and the strategy shared by Dr. Shaw is indeed what we will be focusing on. But I must say, a plan is only as strong as its implementation. And I think it's important that we move from strategy to execution. And with that, colleagues, I would like to invite our Group Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Solile Tswalo, just to take us through how we will deliver on these numbers and the expectations that have been put before us. So we know that you and your operations team really are central and play a critical role in ensuring the execution of this strategy, Reinvent for Growth. Please share with us, how do we navigate this financial year?
Thank you, Lerato. And good morning, colleagues. Those that are in the room that we didn't expect to see, and those that are going to watch this online. And Lerato, maybe you should explain why the pictures that appeared there had all of us in black and white, and you were the only one in color. All right. Just to say, you've listened to the GCE kind of map out where we were, what we've achieved last year. And I think I want you to give yourselves a big hand on the hard work that you put in, all the intelligence that you... I think all the Transnetters did their part in getting us out of the dwang where we were 18 months ago to where we ended up end of March. But as we said, the challenge has only begun, because now we need to technically now stabilize our performance, which is now, I believe is already stable, and then start growing from there. The expectations is very high. So just for operations to improve performance, 3 things that are taken as a given, guaranteed, non-negotiable. It's the health and wellness of our employees. You've heard the Chief of People mention it. That we're saying it's a given. We have to do whatever needs to be done to ensure that our employees enjoy good health and they're obviously able to deliver. The second one is the safety of our employees and members of the public that interface with our whole network of ports, pipelines, and rail. So that one also is taken as a given, so you won't see it in my presentation. And then the last one is the protection of our environment. We have no business if we damage the environment. Eventually, Transnet will be closed down. So in the previous year when we were delivering, we had a target of 170 million tons. You know, we achieved 160. The team and I identified what are those things that prevented us from achieving it, and turning those then into what are the levers then that we need to utilize to improve performance. And I'll go through them, and this will form the core of the operations plan for this year for us to achieve the 180 million tons that has been put up. The first one is we have a network, and a network is from pit to vessel. You know, the rail part of it, the port part of it, that we need to fix in order for us to have the capacity. As you know, the total capacity that we are expected to make available with our network is 250 million tons. For this year, 180 million tons of that is taken as being already in place. But we know that parts of it are not yet in place, so we need to fix it. And what are we talking about when we talk about the network? On the rail side, we know that our signaling is not fully operational. There's backlog, that work that should have been done to have our signaling to be automated, and we don't have to have manual authorization, and that is slowing down our operations. Our rail track, most of the track is now breaking, and we need to have that replaced. Some of it needs grinding and profiling. All of that work needs to be done. Ballast and all the technical elements of our network needs to be fixed. So that is a big amount of work that we have to do in this year, and we have to do the work while we are operating. So the second thing is that what is preventing us from doing this work in the shortest possible time is that we have equipment, yellow equipment, that we use to fix this network. We don't have sufficient numbers of this equipment that we can deploy throughout our country, throughout our network, so that we can do the maintenance between trains and obviously do some of it during our shuts that we have every year. And supporting those yellow equipment is the material that we require to actually fix this network. So that's the second part. We're going to focus on this. We do have a consultant helping us to identify where all of this equipment may be found. And then we will make a decision on whether we're going to own the equipment or we utilize, obviously, the private sector to give us a service. The target is to ensure we've got this equipment in sufficient numbers for us to restore the network to its original capacity, which is 250 million tons. But this network on its own will not deliver 180 million tons. We need the rolling stock, locos and wagons. That should be deployed in the right areas where we require it based on demand. So we will focus, and TE obviously play a big role in this, focus on ensuring that the rolling stock is made available, it's reliable, it's available and reliable, and the original equipment manufacturers that we are utilizing to assist us that are effective, and that we have the right number of maintenance personnel and other supporting personnel in the right areas with the right skills to deliver this. The third one is this network, all this fixing becomes null and void if we allow the criminals that are really taking us. For now, we fix and the criminals come and destroy. Steal the cables, destroy some of the control centers. We need to to make sure that we secure our whole infrastructure, our pipelines, our ports, our rail network, and everything else that we are utilizing to deliver their service or to move volume, as the GCE has said. We need to protect that. And we're finding that most of the work we do within Transnet, we're handing foot soldiers that are breaking, cutting, and what have you. But there are some big kings that sit at the top of this food chain of thieves that we need to tackle in order to prevent continuance of this. If I just skip to 7 and 8, we also need to make sure that the container handling equipment, the marine fleet, and I can add the rest of the port equipment, that it's renewed. We're sitting with very old equipment that should have been replaced long ago. We are busy. We've started that process. We're replacing, but there's a lot more that need to be replaced in order for the ports to run efficiently. And this equipment that we're going to replace needs to be kept in a good working order for quite a lot, for the life cycle of this equipment. So therefore, our maintenance processes need to be world-class. We can't afford to buy brand new equipment, and within a few months, the equipment is not available, it's not reliable. We need to have a well-organized, planned maintenance that keep this equipment running, and obviously that brings back some of the old equipment and keep that running. If I go back to number 5, for all of this work to now be working very well with very healthy employees, we want to put in a corridor-based incentive scheme. We currently have incentive schemes that are OD-based, but we know when we talk about the 180 million tons or whether you get to the 250, most of the work is from pit to vessel. And in that chain, a lot of people, a lot of our employees take part in ensuring that is delivered. Just to give you an example, trains can't deliver this tons direct to vessel. They need the ports. The ports also, the trains also need TE to supply locos. And all of these people require the support functions, the finance, the HR, the capital projects. All of these people contribute to us delivering on this volume. So we need an incentive scheme that recognizes that and rewards that. And we are busy with that. That should be in place. In the ports, we have customers that are saying to us, we want to work with you, we can assist you, we've got resources, we've got access to suppliers of equipment, we've got technical people that are very well experienced that can work with you in improving the port performance. So we will see in this year that we increase our cooperation and working together with shipping lines to improve the performance of our port and to also increase the volumes that we move through our ports. And the GCE touched on this, I'll just add to it. We need our environment, our whole supply chain, whether it's in the pipeline, in rail, in the ports, and different commodities, all of the supply chain need to be digitized. We can't be still using spreadsheets here and there and manual systems there and there. We need the whole thing to be digitalized so that we don't have human beings wasting time inputting and extracting data when they can press a button and have all the information they require to deliver the service and to perform better. So there's a big drive driven by our Chief of Information, and I'm sure in this room you can feel some of the digitalization that's taking place. And next time he speaks to all of us, we will get the true plan on where this is going. The performance improvement that we've been able to achieve so far was achieved by our people working in teams across corridors, across ODs, across functions, working together, identifying problem areas and coming up with action plans, implementing the action plans, and that's why we're seeing the improvements. We want to continue with those teams and now step up and start achieving much higher performance. So we will have these teams continuing throughout our group. One of the things that kept us not having high availability of equipment was that we don't have spares. We wait for spares for locomotives, for port equipment. So we are going to be driving the long-term contracts for spares availability so that those that are fixing this equipment, either in a planned fashion or a reactive fashion, there shouldn't be running out of the spares that they require to bring back this equipment. The 12th thing that we're going to have to do, this is for short and long term, is that we have an infrastructure whose capacity needs to be continually improved, or we add capacity ahead of the demand. So in our pipelines, in our ports, and obviously in our rail, where there's additional capacity required, there will be those projects that we will be embarking on to deliver that capacity. And lastly, our procurement regulations, or the policies that we are utilizing now, actually help us to not be competitive. So we need to reform them to put us at a stage where we can compete with any private sector player in any part of our business. Faster procurement at the right prices, which is the lowest possible price, and at the right time. So that is something that, together with our procurement colleagues, we need to work on to ensure that all of this procurement is professionalized and made very efficient. Now, I'll stop there, but just as I conclude, all of these areas that we've identified, each of our operating divisions have got detailed plans that support this in a format. So therefore, they will be coming, each one of them, sorry, Lerato, I'm taking part of your duties, and sharing with us the detail in terms of how we're going to be delivering on these levers. Thank you, Lerato.
Thank you very much, GCOO. Indeed, we work and win in teams, and we will continue in that format. As the GCOO has indicated, colleagues, we would like to now call each operating division chief executive, who will present their key deliverables for the new financial year and really outline to us what is required to achieve these targets. But I think it's important that I remind you that the chat is still open, so please continue to send your questions via the Teams chat box or email them directly to gce@transnet.net. In terms of an order of presentations, I would like to call the TECE, Ms. Besima Bunda. She will be followed by TFRCE, Russell Baikis, TRIM-CE, Mr. Moshe Matlohi, and TPT, we will be connecting online. Thereafter, acting TNPA-CE, Ms. Phillips Difeto, TPL-CE, Mr. Sbongseni Kati, and we will end the conversation with Mr. Kapei Pahlamohlaka, our TPCE. Over to you, Bessie. Please share with us what we need to do to deliver on the strategy.
Is it still morning? Yes. Good morning, everybody. Again, to introduce myself, my name is Bessie Siphiwe Mabunda, the Chief Executive for Transnet Engineering. Yeah, our boss can be a little bit unrealistic. They gave us 5 minutes and he said we must do detailed implementation plans. I'm not sure how I'm going to sing that in 5 minutes, but I talk a lot, so I can go on, you know. Just to start, I see the physical manifestation of my God-given purpose through my job. That's how I see it. I serve. So I serve at Transnet Engineering. I do not work at Transnet Engineering. So I just want to start off by saying thank you to what we affectionately call ourselves, the TEZens, for trusting in the vision to deliver what may have seemed impossible before. To have gone from delivering in the 20s in terms of new build for locomotives to get to 45, it took a lot of faith in believing what seemed a little bit impossible in May when I was first asked to caretake the position, that we could actually deliver. And to get to 45 just by the end of March, that is a minor miracle. So thank you for that. So I just want to assure the GCE that from a TE point of view, and I speak on behalf of all the TEZens, we commit to the Reinvent for Growth strategy. And I will share 5 focus areas for this year that will help us to contribute, hopefully, to fixing and optimizing ourselves, as well as contributing to the greater Transnet, how we transform ourselves, and of course, enable growth. If I can just have, it's just my one slide. Just let's go to it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the first area that we're going to focus on is on the supply chain management side. And this is not taking a dig at supply chain at all. It is in having introspected and reflected on the issues that from a Transnet engineering point of view has led us to contributing to us ending up at 149 million tons at the end of 2023 financial year, which is not where we want to be. And really, it was in the inability to have a sustainable supply of material that will allow us to do the work that we need to do to maintain locomotives, to do all the programs that need to be done on locomotives. We got to a stage where we had 394 locomotives, which were new generation locomotives that were long-standing, as a result of being unable to source the spare parts that we need to be able to do the right level of maintenance. So we are committing to establishment of long-term material supply contracts, as well as technical support agreements where required with the original equipment manufacturers. We commit to concluding the first 4 priority OEM transactions by the end of Q2, and then we will then do the rest of the priority 1 before the end of the financial year. That should give us about 95% material coverage. The second part is on the business development side. We rely a lot in terms of revenue that comes from TFR. We have expanded somewhat into the maritime space, where from a TPT and TNPA point of view, we've been doing some work. But we believe that there is opportunity for catalytic PSP transactions to contribute to what Andrew was presenting. And there is in particular in 2 areas. We have legacy diesel locomotives that really are very old ladies, I'm just gonna call them that, 48 years, 50 plus years, that really need some level of renewal initiatives implemented. So we're going to then partner with the OEM in terms of that. We also have our Trans-Africa locomotive. We have 3 units that were developed and built by Transnet Engineering. They are operating, doing shunting activities out in the Saldanha area, supporting the ore line. And this really our pride and joy. I think we are losing out on a critical opportunity to commercialize these because we just can't do it ourselves. So we're going to then go out and find a partner that we can collaborate with to see if we can commercialize that for consumption, not only within Transnet from a TFR operations point of view, but within the rest of South Africa as train operating companies come in, as well as in the rest of the African continent. The third one is looking at the rolling stock maintenance side. The boss, my boss, has already alluded to the fact that there is a need to ensure that we deploy the adequate operational capacity to support the activities that TFR does. We have about 6 plants countrywide and about 143 depots. In the critical corridors, like your North Corridor and your O Corridor, it is important that we align even our shift working to that of TFR so that we can adequately support TFR when locomotives break down, that we are available to deal with those issues. So there is a need to look at how we move to 24/7 working and better capacitate some of those depots within the corridors. So that's something that we are working very hard on. The next one is on plant equipment and machinery. Again, there was made mention of the fact that our equipment, our infrastructure generally, we've not invested sufficiently over the years, so we've got aging equipment that has not been maintained as it should. So as a result, they fail and are unreliable and therefore find themselves being unavailable to support operations. So this is an area that is critical for us to look into. So there's a lot of CAPEX funding that has been availed. I think Michelle did indicate earlier that we've gone out to borrow money so that we can invest into ensuring that we've got the right plant equipment and machinery to support our operations. The other one from just specifically on the TE side is the tools that our people need to execute the work that they do. We're finding that the tools are inadequate, that the quality may not be right, and there's not sustainable contracts in place to supply them with the necessary tools. So this is something that we've already started working on, and we should be rolling that out soon. Then the last one is on the safety and security. I mean, safety, it goes without saying that we do need to make sure that the people that work for us, how they have arrived in the morning, that is how we send them back to their loved ones. So this is something that is critical. Also on our side, from a security point of view, we're having a lot of intrusion into our plants. We have one of our security officers currently in hospital. He was shot a few weeks back in Kurusport by criminals that entered our plant. So this is something that is critical. So there's fencing projects, OBS projects that we are doing in collaboration with TFR as well as with TRIM. So that is something that is a big focus. And lastly, just to drive the rollout of Transnet safety, the 10-point plan, we're going to focus on that, as well as the safety competitions in the hopes to improve our lost time injury frequency rate. To end off, I just want to say, I mean, Michelle asked something. She said something. She said, I expect more from TE. That's what she said. You don't say, I expect more from someone unless you have faith and trust that they can deliver. So I am going to ask Transnet Engineering, the people in this room, and everyone across the country who are watching, are we, Transnet Engineering, going to deliver more? Let's hear it. Yes? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CE Besi Mabunda. Indeed, we have faith and trust in all of you TEZens. So let's bring up our TFR CE, Russell Bai, please.
Good morning to the GCE, GCOO, Transnet Exco, colleagues here in the room with us, and then everybody online. Bessie, 48 is not old. I'm 49 this year. Please, let's not say 48 is very old. I was asked outside about the body again, and that the body grew in line with the volumes. This year we're going for 180, and I hope the body doesn't grow in line with the volumes. Colleagues, 160 million tons was not easy. It was very difficult, I can tell you. We made 160 million tons on the last day of the year. I think if you ask me, Michelle said about Solly and the operational efficiencies that he needs to make sure that, apart from that, I can say, Solly has brought about teamwork in the organization. The 160 million tons, TFR did not achieve on its own. All 7 ODs contributed to that 160 million tons. And I want to thank each and everybody for making us get to the 160 million tons. I think Bessie is modest about only the 45 locos. I think the efforts that they've put in also to make sure we get people on trains, improving reliability and availability of locos. Last year I made a presentation at the Heavy Haul Association where I indicated how many locos we had in 17-18 when we did 226 million tons. We had 2,215 locos at the time. When we did 149 million tons, we had 1,477 locos. Now, when you rebuild capacity, it's not just the flick of a switch and then you have the capacity back. It takes time to rebuild the capacity. We now have 100 more locos available than we had 2 years ago, and that's thanks to TE and their efforts in making sure that we get additional locos. We will continue with this journey. We've got several plans with the TE colleagues to make sure that we get to those numbers. And this year, apart from our own plans, our interactions and our teamwork with the other ODs will make us even grow faster. So thanks to Bessie, thanks to Moshe and the team also for all these speed restrictions that they have uplifted and making sure that throughout these issues of theft and underinvestment, we continue to have a network where we can get to 160 million tons and this year aspire to get to 180 million tons. Transformation and making sure that you get back to the volumes that you did before. It's not just the flick of a switch, colleagues. It would be very easy if we can flick a switch and we did 226 million tons. It's a painful exercise of having to rebuild the capacity that you've lost over years. And I'm excited about the journey that we have, that we've taken in making sure that we get back to those volumes and deliver on the volumes that we had before. So, okay. Oh, okay, you're the operator. So for the new financial year, I said we need to get to 180.6 million tons. Very importantly is that our revenue, and you'll hear Nosipa when she speaks, is it's not just about the volumes, it's also about the revenue. Because we've lost significant revenues also. Our revenue target is 50.9 billion rand, and then operating cost 42.9 billion. So when we look at improving the revenue, and specifically the profit, we also need to make sure that we manage the cost. So as TFR, we've grown over the years, and we've evolved, and we've incurred cost as a monopoly. But as we go into this new environment, we need to make sure that we are prudent when it comes to cost. We cannot do the things that we did before. We have to be competitive, we have to be cost effective if we are to be competitive in this new environment. So for us, some of the things that we need to do, and the non-negotiables that Solly spoke about, safety, the incidents that we need to do, reduce, and then also making sure that we take care of the environment. These are key things that we need to do. We have to have a zero tolerance approach to the number of safety incidents. 160, I can tell you, we had a lot of incidents, and a lot of them are preventable. We need to redouble our efforts in this new financial year to make sure that we reduce the number of incidents that we have. We need to make sure that we reduce the unit cost of production. The things that I spoke about now, things that we, over time, the manners and the habits that we've learned about adding to cost, the number of vehicles that we have, where we have our people, are they in the areas that we can best get productivity out of our resources? This applies to the locals and the wagons as well. We need to make sure that we drive customer loyalty. Our customers have suffered over the last few years, and we need to make sure that we get them better back and deliver the service that they expect from us, and then deliver on the financial matrix. So if you go to the next slide, what reinvention for growth means to us is, from a fixing point of view, is to stabilize that core and operations and addressing legacy inefficiencies. We've started with that, but there's some more work that we need to do in terms of that. That's why you see the numbers. That's why we've arrested this decline, and the trajectory is in the right direction now. We need to optimize our resources and make sure we drive performance through enhanced productivity. So again, do we have the locals in the right place? Do we have the wagons in the right place? Are we getting the best benefit out of them? Our processes, as TFR, we are reviewing those processes that we have. We need to transform our business. We need to implement the structural and cultural reforms, including governance, workforce optimization. I mentioned this at the TFR broadcast. We have lots of depots throughout the country, and some of these depots historically, they used to have a lot of volumes. Things have changed over time, but we still have those same structures. We are busy in TFR reviewing where our depots are, where our people are, and should we not be using them in other areas to make sure that we increase the volumes. We've established at our NBC a task team working on that. So this year is going to be a key year for us in terms of making sure that we get that right and preparing ourselves for competition as we go into this new environment of rail reform. we need to make sure that we keep growing the volumes in the areas where there's demand for these volumes. And then, of course, it is for us to make sure that we remain competitive and we show all these new entrants that we are still the train operator of choice for our customers. They must get the business that we are unable to do and not take the business that we are currently doing. Let's go to the next slide. So we need to reposition ourselves, making sure that we redefine Transnet Freight Rail's mandate. Where are the areas that we need to play in? What are the commodities that we need to focus on? We need to make sure that we work with our customers. You would have seen we spoke about the Sasol wagon deal that we had last year. We are looking at similar models for other industries as well, where we get customers to invest in our business and making sure that we get these volumes back faster. We need to make sure that we invest in technology and innovation. We've got some bright new people in the organization. Some of us are 49 and almost 50, but there are some new people with innovative ideas, and we need to make sure that we nurture that talent and make sure that they take us into this age of innovation. Also on the rolling stock side, bring technology that will keep us safe, that will prevent some of the issues that we have on the network, and also keep our crews safe going forward. So how have we started this year? On the next slide. For the first month, we've exceeded our budget target. In fact, as I stand here this morning, I can tell you that since the recovery plan started in, November 23, April was our best month since then. I think everybody deserves a round of applause for that. Traditionally, what we found that is at the end of a financial year, your first month, there's a sort of a lull, people are tired and so on. And I think everybody in Transnet has shown that we want to start this financial year on the right footing, and that's why you see we've exceeded the target for the first month. But it's going to get tougher, colleagues. We will still have the local failures. We will still have the weather issues. We will still have the theft incidents. But we must be resilient and make sure that we deliver in the next 11 months so that we can get to that 180 million tons. I wouldn't say we're worried, Andrew, Solly and I, and the rest of the colleagues. I think we know that it's going to take hard work. And like the GCE says, everybody works. I can tell you if everybody works, we will get to that 180 million tons. So thank you very much, and I'm sure we're going to deliver on that number. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russell. 180 it is. Sipushi passion. We continue. Indeed. Over to you, Trim CE.
Thank you very much. Greetings. To me, saying this is a lollipop. Thank you very much for that reminder. Thank you very much, colleagues. Mine is Moshe Mutluhi from TRIM. Look, thank you very much for that. GCE, GCOO, group colleagues, and colleagues at TRIM in DR, Empangeni, Saldanha, Palabora, Nelspruit, Utnake, and everywhere. I'm here to represent you. If I may, I just wanted to tag on a few issues that have been mentioned. One, which is off the script here. We really are embracing the challenge, GCOO, that we have to be ready for growth. And it is our firm belief that growth is everybody's business. So when they ask us, what is your PSA rate? It's growth. So there's few things that then we want to do in supporting that. Colleagues have mentioned areas of focus that we need to put through here. We have to enhance capacity for Russell's team to perform and for the new entrants to come in. Last year, we were speaking around issues that seem to be more academic, network statement, this and that. From the 1st of April, we are in OD,
and therefore we have targets that we have to meet. Russell indicated he wants 180 point something capacity. But we also have gone out to invite new operators. We must now create an additional capacity for them. We're estimating 2 million capacity coming. But we want to encourage us in the room that introduction of the new terminal, pardon me, you know most my background. Introducing train operators can only mean one thing. It brings a little bit of anxiety, but because we were part of Portnet at some stage, you can learn from there. Portnet was split into TNPA and TPT. Those two CEOs will come and brag here that they make most money at Transnet. So for TRIM and TFR, we've got a learning in-house that we can also come back and make most money as TPT and TNPA is doing. So really we're encouraged by the move. Secondly, there's few things that we have then identified that we wanted to do to support the capacity creation just at high level. I'm not sure if it's going to show here, not. We have set aside to say we need to fix 200 kilometers of track that must be screened this coming financial year, 150 kilometers of rail replacement, 150,000 sleepers must be installed, and 110 outs must be replaced. And if we do this, we're going to create this capacity. So this is what Sandile Makenuka and the team are going to be chasing. We also have identified the 4 must-win battles, right? You'll catch them there because I need binoculars to read in there. The first one I've just mentioned, the network, that must be taken care of. The second one, Prasoli did talk to it, and Michelle around the ICT, is around the national service planning. We need to modernize it so that we can leverage on new technology to make sure that when Russell wants to run and the new entrants, we really give them good space for them to perform. We should not lose time because we're using old systems. So the new planning tool must be deployed this year. Bessie mentioned the issue of safety here. And there's one song that traumatizes me. I know people like it on social media saying, so Bonanema tune in. This song, I don't want to hear that song because for us, it means we're going to meet at the graveyard. And it can only be when somebody has been killed at work. Nobody should die. I don't want to meet you anywhere near the graveside. So safety is going to be an area of focus. Last year, TRIM lost people, internally and external. And we're not proud of that, right? And we've seen what has caused that, fatigue, where we could have monitored the situation much better. Few other things that we should have done. We need to focus on that. And this year we have again to look at the practices that we do and also how we bring technology to help us to deal with those issues of safety and make sure that there's no manual communication between systems, because we nearly had a serious incident in Cape Town, a tourism train with a goods train. Again, it's something that we have to focus on this year. Security. Bessie again spoke to it. It hurts Russell every day. This morning he's just sent a message saying, well done for the quick recovery. But the few hours we lost because somebody steals our network is a criminal activity that must be condemned. Yesterday I saw a minister in Europe, in Spain. Their network was sabotaged. It made headlines. The minister is saying, this is sabotage, economic sabotage, something must be done. For us, we think it is acceptable. It's something that we're calling on all security people to clamp down on it, on all of us, because some of the information, colleagues, you can see it comes from within. We cannot afford to have woodpeckers on the boat. You know a woodpecker, that other boat that chops any wood. You put it on a wooden boat, then you start picking on this thing for it to sink. So it's something that we're going to focus on to make sure that we really enable the system to work. We are busy getting new entrants into the system. 98 applications were received. We are going to see how many are coming. Also, I might as well share that we are now stabilizing trim because from the 1st of April, we're in OD. The month of May is going to see us going through the selection process of the top executive for trim so that we can have that stability. We really are moving ahead and we want everyone to focus on what we have to do because it is important that we do that. In conclusion, Chairperson, at this moment, for us as trim, it is a defining moment because we are changing the landscape in as far as railway is concerned by bringing people that are not only going to give Russell competition, but those people, if we bring them on an aging infrastructure, they're going to collapse trim. So we have to make sure that at trim, nobody gets complacent and say it is Russell's problem. If the network fails, they will take us to court. Russell is still forgiving, but the new ones are coming in. So we have to embrace this new challenge and say the stage is set for us to show that we can do better. We also need to remind the colleagues I was mentioning at the introduction that every slot that we bring in here, every turnout that we replace, every rule that enforces discipline and safety in the system brings back capacity. Because if there's an incident, you must stop, come and investigate. Yesterday we were discussing in the war room that now how much time do you allow for SAPS to come and check that the site is clean? So you should avoid those things from happening. Our trim colleagues across the country, I want to thank them. They've been thanked by other colleagues, people who receive a service from you, and say, whatever you do in those offices, working at night, being chased by criminals, being shot at, we appreciate you. And we want to pledge our commitment here that for us, we need to create capacity for 182 million tons, not 180. We embrace growth is our business. It is everyone's business. Thank you.
Indeed, Moshe, growth is our business and growth is everyone's business. Before we cross over to TPT, I think it's important that we call upon our TNPA acting CE, Ms. Phyllis Difeto, to take us through the 2025-26 TNPA deliverables. At TNPA, we say, "Sienza kwenzeke." Over to you.
Thanks, Lerato. Indeed, senza kwenzeke. Let me start by, I know TNPA is here, senza kwenzeke, definitely. Let me start by greetings to the remarkable Transnet family and also recognizing the family with authority across the port system. I really want to start. Are you questioning our authority? So why are your hands are very slow? Thank you. A lot has been said already around safety, but I think for us, particularly from the authority side, is to start by recognizing all the individuals who participated in our recent safety competitions throughout the port system, throughout Transnet. And I'm saying this because I'm reflecting on the words that were shared by the GCOO and the GCE around operational excellence. And we are saying safety isn't a value, but it's a foundation. It's our foundation as well as Transnet. So when we talk about operational excellence, we must remember that the true excellence is returning home safely to our loved ones each day. Your dedication to this value doesn't just save lives, it strengthens our entire organization. So we are ready for you here in Johannesburg, safety competition, Transnet-wide. The journey so far from TNPA. Over the past 18 months, We have navigated the stormy waters together and implementing the Transnet recovery plan with the determination and the focus that it deserved. So the recovery period came to a close. When we're talking about the timelines, we're looking at around March 2025. But I can assure you, our journey is really just beginning. The recovery plan was not just a destination, it was preparing the vessel for the journey ahead. Now we must harness the winds of change to sail to even greater seas. The challenge ahead is not whether we can maintain what we have gained, but how far beyond we can reach. We've moved from the recovery plan. Now we are at the R4G. And as TNPA, we want to confirm to the leadership of Transnet that we commit ourselves to the deliverables that we'll be sharing just now on how we're going to contribute to the R4G. 2025 and beyond, there are 5 critical compass points that we are going to be focusing on. And I think now, just to share them quickly. Number 1, our greatest treasure. Human capital, as I said, these are our greatest treasure. Our human capital remains key in the implementation of what we want to achieve. We have withered a period of leadership turbulence, and I want to acknowledge that has resonated throughout our business. And in this year, we'll anchor our company with fixed leadership by filling of vacancies. We have started also advertising for the general management position, and I think we might take it lightly to say we can have acting people. It's not that easy. It's not so simple. And that is why when it comes to leadership, firming up leadership and appointments, we look at it very critically for TNPA. Because this will ensure that we promote a safe and a secure working environment for our employees, thus minimizing or avoiding safety incidents. So we'll achieve this through strengthening and prioritizing people management initiatives. And Tumi already covered them. That is what we'll be focusing on with the leadership that we'll have in the organization. The second priority, operations, the heartbeat of the South African port system. When we breathe operations. And that is why it was critical for me to start by making reference to safety. Because when we are in the operations, we always emphasize safety. So I would love to emphasize on this point that South Africa's economy, its lifeblood, flows through our ports. While we made huge strides in overhauling our old marine fleet, true operational excellence demands more. We will be strengthening the oversight and the implementation of the operations KPIs. We are also going to integrate various government agencies to provide what we call the smart port system, better known as the single window. And also, we will be strengthening our relationships with the port communities through the port consultative committees and also the national port consultative committees. I would love you to have a better view of what I'm referring to just by moving over to the next slide so that you can see the key points that are covered in each and every key area. The third one, it's private sector participation. That's where we will be amplifying our potential. During these times of financial constraints, innovation becomes our greatest ally. We will be prioritizing new business development through the concessions, that's the Section 56, and also the directives that we receive from our minister on Section 79. We're also going to focus on driving and growing the real estate portfolio. And also we're going to explore new business opportunities in the neighboring countries through looking at dredging services and also the dredging fleet that we require, but also to attract the ship repair facilities for our ship repair implementation strategies. Together, we believe that we can accomplish what none could achieve alone. The fourth focus area is infrastructure, where we say to ourselves, we will be building for tomorrow's vessels today. The world's vessels have evolved over the years, but our ports have not. So vessels have gotten longer, wider, and deeper, with our facilities having remained unchanged. So the national ports plans, the port development framework plans, they are aimed at ensuring that our ports do not merely adapt to the future, but they define the future as well. And then the last, fifth focus area is going to be corporatization, and Andrew has already touched on it briefly, but from TNPA point of view, we look at it as shaping our institutional destiny. And just a brief update on this one, just to comment that already we have seen that the ministerial task team has already been established, because we are looking so much at that task team to assist us to move forward on some of the critical initiatives. And also we're going to continue internal Transnet TNPA corporatization structures. We do have them at Transnet level, and also we have them at TNPA level. Importantly, we are also going to make sure that we strengthen our relationships with the regulators. With those words and that information that I've shared with you, I want to close by saying to every manager across our organization, from emerging leaders to seasoned veterans, I issue this call to all of you. Give your people the attention they deserve. Management pioneers like T.J. Peters and R.H. Waterman, they wisely observed the following, and I would love to share with you as I'm going to sit down. It is attention to employees that has a dominant impact on productivity. Support. This is coming from the authority. But I will add as well and say it isn't just productivity that blossoms under genuine attention. It's also innovative ideas that will come through, the dedication that will come through from the employees, and the excellence that will also come out from the employees in all their forms. Let us never forget that our work drives South Africa's growth and prosperity. When we stand in the docks, next to the railway lines, everywhere, at sunrise, we are not merely moving cargo, we are moving our nation ahead. When we guide ships safely to the ports, we move our trains, we work on those the operations, we are not merely following procedures, colleagues. We are guiding South Africa's economic future. We are each holding a piece of our country's future in our own hands. When we succeed, South Africa thrives. When we fail, it's not only our organization that fails, it's millions of our fellow South Africans that do fail. But I do know this team, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. I've watched your resolve, your ingenuity, and your passion, and I have every confidence that all of us together, we will not only conquer the obstacles in front of us, but we are going to use them as stepping stones to a brighter future for Transnet as a whole, for South Africa as a whole, and also for the authority as a whole. Ke a leboga, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate Defito. The message is very clear, colleagues. The message is very clear. Safety is our foundation. Safety is not only a value. And I think it's important as we reflect on all the presentations shared thus far. The message is the same, starting from the GCOO all the way to the ODCEs that have presented thus far. It's about the people, and it's about our operations, and it's about safety. So thank you so much, TNPA. Let me call up our TPL CE, Mr. Sibongiseni Kati, to share with us the deliverables for this new financial year. Over to you, sir.
The authority has spoken. It might be difficult to follow the authority. Greetings, leadership, GCE, GCOO, and GCFO, and the rest of the panel. And greetings to everyone in the room, and greetings to all the Transnetters throughout. and especially the very important and special people of Transnet, the pipeliners, greetings. Some people usually complain to say why Transnet pipeline is not known. We say no, we are underground. If you, we don't want you to, but we are just 1 meter underground. And our motto is simple: to keep Gauteng wet. And we have managed to do that successfully despite all the challenges. So I think before I start, I will just go one step back and then move one step forward. Maybe before I do that, Douglas said something one day to say my job is quite difficult. It's like being in a maths class and having your teacher being your mother. So most of the time, I never used to get any questions when it comes to pipelines. But now and again, I get a lot of questions from the GCE, so that's really a problem. So I think if we look back a little bit in terms of what we have achieved from the recovery plan point of view, we have achieved security of supply, which means I don't think we've had a fuel crisis to the extent that we didn't have fuel in the country. And secondly, we also gas KZN, which means we supply gas to KZN through our Lily pipeline. And we've been able to ensure that the gas is supplied throughout. And we've seen an increase in our jet volume that we've transported through our pipeline. But of significance, we have achieved a 63% decline in our fuel theft incident. Thank you. In the previous financial year, we had 48 incidents of fuel theft, and that number came from close to 100. It went down to 48, and we only had 13. And 13 is 13 too much, but a great, significant improvement. And also what we have achieved of significance, we have signed with the authority a terminal operator agreement for our Zululand Energy Terminal, which will be the first LNG terminal in South Africa to be developed, thank you, in a port of Richards Bay, which is in partnership with Vopak. We hold a 25% as Transnet. It is a significant achievement to be able to get into a new business for us. And secondly, we've now appointed an engineering consultant to start looking at repurposing our Lily pipeline, because for currently the Lily pipeline, the way it works, it brings gas from Secunda all the way to KZN. With the injection of the LNG gas in Richards Bay, then that line will be taking gas from Richards Bay into the different places. So we're very excited with those achievements that we have done so far. So what then is next? So this is just a little bit of a picture in terms of what we had committed on the recovery plan and what we have achieved. There's one red which we don't like, but the rest looks green. So we're really proud of the numbers that we've achieved. And GCFO, we've brought in the money from our side. So these really are the key initiatives for the 25-26 financial year. These are our targets that we need to do from the financial side to the volume, to the operational efficiencies and safety. I think the number of 14.8 billion is the number that is ringing in our head that we want to achieve and exceed. And there's a lot that will be required for us to be able to do that. So the key initiatives that we want to do, I think the trend has been clear: safety, safety, safety. And for us, as we move into the new energies like gas, is not just safety as in name and safety as in procedure, but it's how do we change the culture of everyone in the organization so that safety becomes the first nature, not the second nature, but your first nature, that when whatever you do, and safety doesn't only start when you get to work. If someone see the sign that says safety starts here when you get to work, that's not how it works. Safety starts at home. If you have a right safety culture at home in terms of how you do things, then we'll continue that culture at work. It's not like you have a safety culture at work, then when you leave work, then you stop being safety conscious when you get home. So this is really what we're really passionate about, to say, how do we drive the culture of safety into everyone? And people, I think Dr. Motsek has clearly explained what is expected in that area, is how do we create a high performance culture? And the GCE wants everybody to work. How to ensure that people work not because they are being supervised, not because they are managed, but because they are following the vision and the passion that the GCE has charged us to do. And that's really what we are pushing for. Pipeline volumes is a major crisis from our side that we need to do. We have got a PwC doing a market demand study for us to understand really where the market is. Our plan is to implement the recommendations that come from there so that we can be able to see our volumes increase. For us, increasing in volume is critical because when you've got high volumes, then it means then the tariff becomes low, and it means the cost of doing business in the country goes down. And it means that the people in this room have the chance of getting fuel a little bit cheaper than it is. So we really contribute into what goes into your pocket. So that's why it's critical for us to ensure that we've got volumes, and also to start pushing to ensure that we can resume export to neighboring countries. There's been a lot of changes in our industry, especially the closure of refineries, that made it difficult from the SARS perspective to be able to export volumes to our neighboring countries. So this is the work that we are doing. Finance, we still want to bring the money into the business, but also to control the cost, to make sure that we prudently spend the money that we spend. Another area is to ensure that we deliver to our capital project. That's the area that we have failed in the previous years to actually spend our capital, and is the area that we are not proud of as Transnet Pipeline. And every time a slide of capital spend is being shown, we are the one that really have not spent the money that we have been given to spend, that the company had borrowed for us to invest. So this is the area that we're actually focusing on to get it done. Security, we have done well in terms of what we have achieved. We are now in the process of looking for a new service provider. So we are out in the market for that. So this is a critical work that we need to do to make sure that, one, the new service provider that we get, there's a good transition to make sure that we don't regress the gains that we have made so far. And then also in terms of partnership opportunities, we are focusing on some of the areas. In terms of Taltin, we are focusing on see whether we can be able to get opportunities where we can be able to grow the volumes through some partnership that we can develop. We're also finalizing also another TOA with the authority that we want to finalize this year. The critical one is the last one in terms of strategic development. Our industry is changing. There is an advent of more fuel-efficient cars. We know that there might be growth that we're anticipating to come in the near future, but we know that in the future, the fossil fuel-based fuel will start declining. And the question is, what's going to be of Transnet Pipeline of the future? So this is the work that we are trying to do to make sure that when we leave Transnet Pipeline, there still be Transnet Pipeline that exists for our future generation in terms of the work that we are going to do. So that's really where we are in terms of what we are going to focus on. And this is just the key prize projects that we are driving. I won't spend time on them, but just to say thank you to all the Transnet Pipeliners for all the hard work that we have done so far. Like has been said, the job is not done yet. We've just started. And for me, my view is simple. For us to be able to achieve what we need to achieve, each and every one of us has to take a leadership role. You don't need a title to be a leader, but you need to have a conviction, to have a purpose, and start saying, I am going to lead myself first and make sure that as an individual, I can go home where the GCE says she needs everyone to work. I can go home knowing in my heart that I have put a good day's work. And I rally all Transnet colleagues, especially the Transnet pipeliners, let's make sure that we keep safe and all put our day's effort. Each and every day we go to sleep knowing that we have moved a dial to move this country forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, TPLCE, Mr. Kati. Indeed, I make that pledge that I am going to lead myself first. And let's move over more on and invite the TPCE, Mr. Kapei Patlamohlaka. Please come through and share with us your focus areas now.
To the leadership of Transnet, GCE, GCFO, GCOO, all the chiefs sitting here, and the colleagues in the room and the colleagues online. Allow me to greet you in the name of my Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Let me also greet the landlords. No, the landlords. Yeah. No, I'm talking about the landlords, not, yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just have a one slide like the CEO of TE that I want to present with 5 critical areas that we are looking at. But before I do that, I think I need to mention and congratulate the TP, in particular Inland Region, on Carlton Center. Yeah, people are surprised why Carlton Center. You'd recall a few years ago, every time we were standing here, we'll be told how people got stuck in a lift. It was a nightmare. And we now commissioned 11 brand new lifts in Carlton Center to enable colleagues that are working there to have a proper vertical mobility. But also just to mention that we concluding or completing the building of the new Transnet head office at 96 Resick Street. Yesterday when I was there, they were installing furniture on the 3rd floor. And then they told me next week they'll be doing furniture on the 2nd floor and the 4th floor. Now, we are basically done with the new head office. If there is anything that we can confirm is that Transnet is no longer going to be renting head office from third parties. But that also has been mentioned by the Premier of Gauteng as part of the rejuvenation of the city of Johannesburg. We are part of the catalysts that are doing that. Now, key TP initiatives for the financial year 25-26 and our role in the reinvention for growth. One is that we will be, thank you. We're continuing with the disposal of non-core properties. You would have noted when Dr. Shaw made a presentation, especially on the National Treasury guarantee conditions. He did mention, although he didn't speak about it, but he's written it there. It is there. And it's one of the core areas that as TP we need to be working on with Transnet Group, and a steering committee has been established to that effect. That is the disposal of non-core properties, which needs to be expedited. Now we are working together with Group in order to ensure we do that. However, while we are looking at that as a bigger picture, we also continue with the disposals of other properties that we have already started the process, and we are committing that by the financial year we would have delivered 516 million. And that includes the houses. And in the houses, we are prioritizing staff in the disposal. Now, Dumi has already spoken about it as well, the Chief of People, how we are working there to ensure that we assist staff to have houses. That is, in our view, a promotion of property ownership, which in itself is an empowerment. The next item is new revenue growth. I must say that in the recovery plan, we had certain targets that we have met, but the disposal of properties target we did not meet. And that is a albatross on our necks because we have committed to do. And we are still committing that we are going to continue, do it, and achieve it. Now, we have entered into a number of new transactions. We have seen our colleagues come into the party, putting TP properties into the market for new revenue. We have achieved this in the previous financial year or previous recovery period, and we are committing again that we will continue to generate new revenue. And the reason is when you continue generating new revenue, you're increasing the value of the property and therefore increasing the balance sheet and ensuring that when the disposal comes, now you are disposing something of value. If it doesn't have a lease, it doesn't have value. But if it has a lease, it has a better value. That is why we are doing this, to ensure that by the time we dispose the portfolio, we dispose the portfolio that has proper value. Acceleration of collection of outstanding debt. Transnet Properties is one of the ODs with the biggest debt book in Transnet, which unfortunately is historical, but we have to deal with it. We are here now. We cannot continue blaming history. We are here now. We have to deal with it. We have to collect. We managed to collect our targeted amount of over 300 million during recovery period. And now for this financial year, we've given ourselves 200 million. And in order for us to do that, you need to ensure that you've got the right lease with the right person, loaded properly, and we're improving the systems so that when we collect, we are not challenged. Even if it means taking people to court, you are not challenged when you are taking people to court. Now, your day-to-day collection is a function of what you have in the system, and we are currently working on SEP real estate upliftment to ensure that there is, as the COO has spoken earlier about digitalization, to ensure we avoid finger error in loading of leases and billing of our tenants. There are some where we are negotiating out of court settlements. There are some where we are going full-blown litigation because we are not agreeing. But where we agree, our first option is to do out-of-court settlements. Implementation of electricity consumption and water demand monitoring technology. We are currently installing smart meters in our top consuming properties to make sure that we are going to be reducing the cost of electricity and the cost of water. Unfortunately, by the nature of the business of Transnet, we represent that in 204 municipalities. South Africa's got, I think, about 257 municipalities in the entire country. Transnet operates in 204. Now you can imagine, I was telling Ayanda this morning that we're managing on monthly basis municipal bills of over 13,000 transactions. Now, our job is to make sure then that with the high consuming properties, we monitor those consumption and we are able to build the correct amounts, we are able to recover the right amounts, and we are able to reduce the wastage that comes with electricity and water. That is something that we have given ourselves to say we will reduce that bill by 5%. And then the last one is the implementation of PSP to optimize portfolio returns and strengthen the balance sheet. This, again, it goes with number 2 of new revenue growth to ensure that our properties don't lie idle. Because we've got a number of those that are currently lying idle, they are not used. Now, where sometimes people don't see value, we see an asset. And therefore, our intention here is to turn idle and non-valuable properties into balance sheet assets. Thank you very much. That will be the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Kape. The message is also very clear and the focus for TP very clear. We're looking forward to moving to 96 Resix Street. Let me check, do we have TPT online?
Yes, we do.
Welcome, welcome Jabu and the team. Please go ahead and share with the colleagues your focus areas for this new financial year or your presentation for TPT. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And colleagues, good morning, GCE, good morning, TPT and Transnet colleagues. I'm used to addressing TPT. Good morning, Transnet colleagues. At GCE, as you alluded earlier on, we are your soldiers on the ground. We need to be responsive when there are issues that arise and the system is under intense pressure. I am in Richards Bay to help the team navigate some of the challenges that we are experiencing, and we are treating this as an urgent matter. I am sure that it aligns with your vision that you have for Transnet, that we need to be an organization that responds to the challenges. We don't shy away from them, and we are able to get ourselves back on track again. Within TPT this year, our tagline is chasing the sun. We are inspired by the Springboks, what Rassie Erasmus and his team were able to do to take a Springbok team that did not have any hope in 2018 and make them a world champions in 2019. And they repeated that feat again, by being back-to-back champions. We do believe that we will rally the teams to chase the sun and meet the objectives of Transnet. Our financial targets this year is to achieve the 21 billion rand revenue and meet the operating profit of 4.4 billion rand. We are also looking at the volumes that where we are projecting a growth across all the volumes except coal and manganese, which we are projecting to be remaining constant. It is important that in most of the commodities, we are expecting a huge growth. That will require a lot of work from us, and it will require a lot of collaboration between ourselves and our sister ODs for magnetite, for chrome, for iron ore, and for manganese, to be able to ensure that TPT together with TFR, TRIM, and TNPA work as one unit in sync to meet these objectives, both for Transnet as well as for the country at large. That's the signal that we want to send to the market to say that Transnet is back, Transnet is functioning, the recovery. We are reinventing for growth to make South Africa an investment destination again. If we can move on to the next page, please. If we look at the priorities for TPT, we've briefly classified them into three categories: the containers, the bulk, and the automotive. In the containers, if someone can move on the slide, thank you. In the containers, our focus area is going to be improving the OEE in the container terminals. We improve the straddle carrier availability from 65 to 65. I'm happy to report that we are already trending on average close to 70 straddle carriers in Pier 2. So we are on target for that. We need to continue with we are specifically mentioning here the container incentive scheme because we've seen what that scheme did, how it energized the people when it was implemented in the container sector in its reconfigured form. We want to also continue with the incentive scheme, and I think the GCOO did mention that we are looking at the integrated incentive schemes across the supply chain to ensure that everything functions and everyone feels obligated to ensure that we move the commodities. We will be looking at our SEM and the spares that we are procuring. We are also looking at the changes in the operations where we are making the shift changes, and where also we are implementing the 4-shift system. We are progressing well with the rolling out the new equipment. The 9 RTGs in Pier 1 are now in operation. 5 of them are in operation. The remaining 4 is being commissioned as we speak to be in operation. In Cape Town, we are assembling the 9 RTGs that the components have already been delivered. We are expecting to receive further components for the STS cranes this year. That is one of our biggest investment as well. In the bulk sector, we are also looking at the OEE to improve that. One of the critical areas is also the iron ore shut. It's another area where at the moment we are under strain, but we are dealing with that, working together with the Ore Users Forum to recover some Stacker Reclaimer 2 that had a catastrophic failure in terms of the bucket wheel. There is a lot of work that the team has done to ensure that we reduce that and we'll be able to bring that back into operation on the 11th of May. We are also looking at improving the performance in Richards Bay of the T-Plus, alluding to the fact that I am in Richards Bay today as part of those ongoing initiatives and supporting the team. We need to increase that support on the ground. The completion of the third T-Plus is critical. We have placed our necks on the block that we will be doing the cold commissioning of the third T-Plus in Saldanha in September this year. We are progressing well. The level of confidence of us completing that is quite high. We've awarded all the packages. We are seeing a good progress in that. In the auto sector, we also want to continue exploring the opportunities to use the current capacity that we've got in terms of the terminals. We know that we've got the terminals like in East London that is dedicated solely to Mercedes. With the challenges that they are experiencing, we are working closely with them to say, how do we ensure that we keep the terminal functional and it remains relevant to them? The same in PE with the VW, and the same in Durban, which is our main auto terminal. If we can move on to the next page. As part of a TPT, we've borrowed the term from TFR, the must-win battles. First is safety. Safety is non-negotiable. We had 2 fatalities in the past financial year. One was a TPT colleague, and the other one was our colleagues from the service providers. We are striving to achieve a 0 fatality a year. For us to be able to do that, it starts with what we do proactively. It won't just happen on its own. The VFL that is done both by the group as well as by the TPT executive and management, increasing our presence, also taking a stance of 0 tolerance to any deviations in terms of safety. It all starts with safety, and I think my colleagues have already alluded to that fact and said it. The second one is filling the critical positions. We need to ensure that we capacitate the terminals to have the capacity to be able to handle the cargo. There is a growing sense of confidence in our ability in certain areas, especially in the containers, in the Eastern Cape, in the Western Cape, as well as in Durban, that we can be able to improve in these areas. We want to also instill that level of confidence, even in the bulk terminals, like in Richards Bay, as we are doing today. We want to achieve our Apex KPIs, those that are also reflected in our shareholder compact. We do believe that for the first time this year, we are actually well placed to be able to meet a majority of those KPIs, if not all of them. We have done the investments, we've got the equipment, we have got the morale of the staff on the ground motivated. Things are coming together. We need to ensure that we keep that momentum going. It also is important that we achieve the CTOC compliance of more than 80%. The CTOC, for the colleagues that do not know it, it is the contract that we've got with the container vessels that they have a slot that they'll be arriving. We'll give them a certain level of productivity, and they will be departing on time. If we're able to do that, first of all, we maximize the volumes that we are handling. Secondly is we are able to earn what we call a CTOC bonus, because if you achieve that, there is a bonus that they pay us, which we also then utilize to pay the employees as part of the incentive. And also, we are able to generate more revenue. And we make South Africa attractive again as the container hub that terminals, shipping lines can use to recover when they are behind with their volumes, and can also be transship their containers within our terminals. It's a tough environment, and we need to fight hard to ensure that we remain relevant. The next one is the implementation of the fuel management system. This is long overdue. In this day and age, it's unthinkable that we still do not have an integrated fuel management system. We've seen with the fuel theft, a massive fuel theft, I must add, that is running into millions of rands, that we are vulnerable in that area. We are at an advanced stage. The tender is out. It will be closing. We will be implementing this across all 16 terminals, across all vehicles that are managed within a TPT. It will also help us manage the fleet that we've got, with also coming with the technology of geofencing, improving the accountability for what we are using as the company. The procurement of critical critical equipment, for example, the 16 struggle carriers that we are procuring, those are also critical. We need to get those delivered, and so that we can commission them to be able to support the rest of the equipment that we have. We also have critical contracts that needs to be put in place. As an example, the conveyor belting and the stevedoring contracts. We also need to develop a roadmap. This is also very important. The roadmap for the co-investment in our MPTs. We do believe that there is a lot of value that needs to be unlocked, that can be unlocked in our container terminals and multi-purpose terminals. That will require a lot of investment that we do not believe that we can be able to do alone as Transnet, but it gives us an opportunity to explore the core investment with the interested parties, specifically if we can be able to attract the likes of the shipping lines. One is we will then be able to lock in the volumes for the long term. Secondly, we'll be able to re-equip those terminals to have a proper equipment and newer equipment and to function. There's a lot of investment that we are doing on our key terminals, but we also need to create an opportunity for the MPTs to be able to realize the value that they can be able to add to the system. That is one of the critical initiatives that we do believe that should be pursued by Transnet. The implementation of condition monitoring, again, this is critical. We want to get out of the firefighting mode where we react to the equipment breakdowns. We want to be able to predict the conditions of our equipment so that we can be able to plan the major works that we are going to be doing in our equipment. We're busy rolling out these contracts for the condition monitoring of the major equipment in the bulk, in the container terminals. And we are also looking at how we can improve the sea series in the Eastern Cape to ensure that we improve. There is a huge appetite to be able to do more volumes and to improve the efficiencies in that area. Needless to say, there is a stiff competition there. We need to up our game. Again, it's an area that we are looking at where possible we can be able to co-invest with the interested parties, most likely the commodity owners or the parties that want to work with us. The last one that I will touch on, because I won't go to the next page, is tightening the controls in the warehousing areas. Again, this is in response to some of the things that we are discovering as we progress with this cleaning up the system. We've got a very comprehensive plan in terms of fighting fraud, corruption, and theft. And this is one of the areas that we have found to be vulnerable in, and we want to ensure that we tighten the controls. We are able to put in the best systems in place to ensure that we do not have any leakage in this area. We are excited about the new financial year. We are looking forward to achieving a greater volumes, greater finances, to make a meaningful contribution to the recovery of Transnet, and also seeing that Transnet becomes the key player in the South African economy. We will be part of that contribution, together working with our sister ODs and ensuring that we play our role. Thank you very much, and thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jabu Mdaki, our TPT CE colleagues. I think let's congratulate all the ODCEs for their presentations. It's very clear that the strategy presented today is definitely simple, it's very clear and very actionable. So we should then be able to rally around and ensure that we implement accordingly. And before we then move on to take questions, I think it's important that we continue to reflect on our financial performance as an organization. And I would like to bring in our Group Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Nosipho Mapumulo, to really give us a financial performance outlook for this financial year. Over to you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I think to Bessie making a comment about the guys on the last step of the 4th floor, you can imagine when you get to the 5th and the 6th and beyond, but it comes with a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom. So we also are grateful for that. Firstly, I want to say to our Group Chief Executive Officer, Michelle Phillips, I think on behalf of everyone at Transnet, the customers, our suppliers that serve us, we're very grateful to have you as the CEO for Transnet. And I also want to commit to you and also commit for my colleagues, the 50,000 odd employees that you always say, everybody works. Everybody works. We're not employed, we work, and we serve Transnet and the country. So for me, I believe a lot of what I want to say has been covered, but it's also very difficult for me as a finance and an accounting professional to speak without the numbers. But we are in a closed period, so I will stay away from the numbers from the last financial year, 31 March, specifically in terms of financial performance in that regard. But I do, no, please. Please go back. I do want to say to all the Transnetters across the country, well done. And thank you very much. The type of performance that we're seeing, financial performance at least, is a significant improvement. And thanks to everyone and the leadership that we are able to deliver those numbers under very difficult conditions. And I am very happy and excited that we can see from a numbers point of view that Transnet is on an upward trajectory. And for that, we thank the employees. Now, if we look forward to the future, we really need to make sure that volumes continue to improve. The 160 is a big 10 in terms of Transnet. 180 is an even bigger 10 and a game changer for us. Michelle says to us, we are not going back to the 160s. So the 180 for this financial year, we definitely have to make sure that it is met. And I'm thankful to those that lead the people, the operations guys and all their support partners, that it is clear that we are on the right path. If I look at the first month of this financial year, and I know it is early days, but the numbers are looking good. In fact, if I look at when my team prepared the flash report, because it's been so red for a long time, so they made the mistake of defaulting to the reds. I'm like, no, this is good performance. So it needs to show in the numbers and in the way we reflect it. So we leverage on that and we move on that trajectory. 180 is definitely possible with the teams that we have across the board. The second thing that I want to speak to is the whole issue of cost efficiencies. When I started last year, I think Russell and I were in some training session, and the question that was asked was, do you think Transnet is bloated? And my response, and I maintain that response, is that Transnet is in a very fortunate position because we have the volumes. Demand for us is not a big challenge. Our demand is the capacity and the reliability. If we can sort that out, we will be able to achieve the volumes that we need, but also, importantly, we'll be actually able to employ more people as an organization. So where does the efficiencies and the cost optimization efforts come from? I think for me, there are two areas that really can lead us and enable our efficiencies in this business. And the two critical areas are ICT, and there's a lot that has been said about digitization that is being led by our partner Pandelani, Group CIO, to assist us across all functions at Transnet to digitize and make sure that we get the systems to do what they can do and save cost in the process. The second area is procurement. I mean, after all is said and done, we say 60% of our cost sits in the employee bucket, but 40% of our cost actually sits in what can be termed discretionary spend. So are we getting value for money? Can we negotiate better deals? Can we root out leakages from our business? Can we ensure that we run an efficient procurement system that is across the board, led and directed by our partner in this regard, the group CPO, Vuletsani. So I'm very excited about what can be done to support all of us in that regard. Then the next thing, which I believe is critical for us going forward, is the self-help measures. I mean, even government has said to us, we need to see Transnet running efficiently. We need to see you helping yourselves. So the disposals of scrap, the disposal of assets that are excess to our requirement, and fixing the leakages everywhere in our business. And we all 50,000 of us, have a responsibility to identify those leakages and root out those that are creating those or causing those leakages, and even those that are running corrupt practices in our business, which I'm happy to say, my understanding is that the vast majority of Transnetters are honest, hardworking, committed people, which is why we are able to get these numbers. The next thing that I want to touch on is the whole issue of our need or requirement for shareholder support. So last year, when we were very excited, making applications, making engagements with the National Treasury and colleagues, the CEO said to us, at the end of the day, we need to do this ourselves. We can do a lot ourselves, and we can see that going forward, in the absence of government actual cash injection, government said to us, you will not see an ESCOM type injection to Transnet. So we need to see you helping yourselves. So the one thing that we still definitely need government support on is the government guarantees, which we have applied for around almost 100 billion, but I like to say 99.6 billion because it makes me feel better that it's not 3 digits. And we await that because that will help us, even when we increase our loan book, it is at rates that are acceptable, at rates that are lower than what we have experienced in the past. So that is important, that is critical for us. Then the next thing is the whole issue of the activities in the capital markets and rating agencies. So our rating agencies are putting us on credit watch. So we need, what is important, every Transnet employee who works contributes to the operational performance, because it is difficult for us if we cannot show that the targets that we set ourselves we have made and we are making. So one, and they also need to see, the agencies need to see that we are getting the required shareholder support in that regard. Now, what does excite me though, is that in this financial year and the next financial year, 26-27, even though our loan book is going to peak, beyond that, we're looking at a new space where Transnet, because we have returned to profitability, we are making more money. We are able to start repaying our loans, and it puts us in a much better position. Because if you ask me, from a profitability point of view, we make EBITDA, which is a measure of profitability, generally accepted. But after that, we have to account for finance costs, which are very high. Now, in the last financial year, 2024, not the 24-25, we were almost spending on financing costs almost to the same level as how much was invested in the infrastructure and network for the business, which obviously is not where you want to be. Now, in 24-25, for the first time, we breached the 20 billion mark. We finished just below 24 billion, which was a significant improvement. So the challenge is there's 25 billion allocated every year for the next 5 years. Is the money going to the projects that will help move volumes in the business? And if it is, are we making sure that those projects are completing on time, on schedule, and we get better value for money and we reduce the cost to deliver those projects? Because if we say these are critical for helping us grow volumes, grow the business, which is the whole point of the Reinvent for growth, then we need to make sure that we invest, the money goes to the right places, and that in the process of doing that, we also scrub and find the efficiencies in the process. Then maybe my last point on that is, if then I look into the next 5 years, our revenue is going to grow beyond 100 billion. Now you're talking, that is serious business. There are a lot of listed companies on the JSE that do not come near that mark. So that is a very good outlook for Transnet. We're also looking at profitability in 26-27. We're looking at 9 billion rand worth of profits. Now, what happens when Transnet start making so much money? I am an employee first. I have a SEP number. And I'm sure a lot of people want to start seeing salary increases, seeing bonuses in the future. But that we have control. It is in our hands. And I do believe that every one of us who works here wants to see that reality happening. So finally, thank you very much for your commitment.
Thank you very much, GCFO, for your presentation and that outlook for this new financial year. Colleagues, ours is to make sure that we grow this business. And the message has been very clear this morning and well into this afternoon. For now, I would like us to focus our attention to the questions that we have received. And I'm requesting that we play the pre-recorded videos. If we can only play 3 of those, and then I'll allow the GCE and the leadership team to answer those questions. Over to you, technical team.
Good day, Ma'am Michelle Phillips. Thanks for the opportunity. Firstly, I would like to compliment what you are contributing to TE as a whole, and I wish you the best along with the team. My question will be more based on the Reinvent for growth strategy. It might not be a question, maybe for us to work together as a team for us to reach this objective. I'm working very close with my customers. Okay, my name is Sesi Masha. Sorry for not introducing myself. Sesi Masha. I am in Transnet Engineering, RM Business, Kudu Sport. I work very close with my customers. Each and everything that happens in terms of them not being satisfied or the deliveries, I get to measure them via the surveys that I'm sending through to them quarterly. However, I also get to communicate with them each and every day. The challenge for us as a business now is bad components. We call it the dirties. We get to have our line moving very slow and having a frustration most on the PCMs for them to deliver each and every day. And we are having the weekly plan for us to get to deliver to the customers. So that weekly plan not to be achieved because of the bad components. So what I'm asking from you is for you to get the manufacturing and also the maintenance depots to look at such to deliver the bad components to us, because we need to reclaim some of the parts from those dirties. That's our frustration, even though the logistics procurement issue in terms of material gets to be an issue, but with us reclaiming from that bad component, it will get us to deliver to our customers. So I'm most on us talking about the Reinvent for growth strategy, because I know it's improving on the products that we are doing, and also the existing and the growth, and also having to
Let's play another one. Do you want to respond?
Locals.
Michelle, do you want to respond, or we can hand over to
Questions. Yeah.
Let's play the last one, technical team. Let me hand over to you, GCE and the team, to address the questions that have been posed, and then we will take 3 questions from the floor.
I've got lots of clever people here next to me, right?
Sorry?
I'm saying there's a lot of clever people here, so get ready to answer. I think the one on, if I want to pick up, well, firstly, appreciate the comment from our TE colleague. You know, from I think the very beginning, even when I was acting in the position, we were very concerned about what was coming out of transit engineering. And personally, I felt that if we support transit engineering to enable it to support the rest of the business, then, you know, we would see quite a bit of change. But, you know, it starts with leadership. And I have to say that as I was thinking about what to do in respect of the leadership in TE, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's familiarity. People say familiarity breeds contempt. But I had to trust my gut. And I knew Bessie from previous roles. And I thought, you know what? Bessie, having been a customer of TE, in my opinion, was best placed to turn that business around because she felt the service within TFR. And Bessie, I'm still betting on you. Where are you? I'm still betting on Bessie and her team. We've seen the change in TE. I don't think any of us expected to move from, I mean, the numbers are staggering, 22 locomotives to 45. Now, I want to bring that back, and not just Bessie, but I mean throughout transit. I'm referring to Bessie as the example now because of the comment from the first comment from the lady at Kuduspoort. If we bring this back and we look at where we come from, and we say to ourselves, you know, we have a credibility issue that we have to address. The country needs to trust us again. Our customers need to trust us again. Our own workers in Transnet, everyone in Transnet, 50,000, needs to trust leadership again. So all of us, it is the action that is going to convince people. Okay? It is the action. You've heard all the plans here, but all of us, as we go back, the implementation and the action and the outcomes of that action is going to tell the story. So when Nosipo talks about where we are financially, we've seen the volumes tell the story. Now we need the volumes to tell an even better story as we move forward. The volumes now need to start translating into revenue and profits, right? So if we do all these things, we have a 5-year corporate plan. We've shown you, I think, Andrew, and going to, I think, the second video, we talks about what is our plan for the 5 years. We have a 5-year corporate plan. Andrew has indicated, I think you showed the 5-year targets, right? That's the plan for the next 5 years. In every operating division, there are plans for the next 5 years. What I would want us to do is to try as best as we can to actually compress those plans. Let's beat ourselves at our own targets. Let's bet on ourselves. Nosipo mentioned the shareholder support. Nobody's coming to save us. We are going to save ourselves. We've started doing that. So all of these plans that we've put in place, we have a 5-year corporate plan, the ODCEs, will go into every department in their ODs, and they will cascade, and every person will need to have and indicate what they are going to be delivering to ensure that we meet these targets. Okay? So 5-year plans, it is there. We will cascade it so that everybody has knowledge of it. We certainly don't have the time to do it today. And I mean, thank you again to the lady on the first one. I'm trying to remember the third one. Oh, the third one, Dr. Shaw, maybe you can talk to that one. Vertical separation. Do you want to do that?
Yes, I can. I think it's a very good question, by the way. The place that I'd like to start is just by indicating the good work that TRIM has been doing. I think sometimes within the entity of TRIM, one doesn't realize how much change has happened, how quickly. And Moshi, between you and your team, the focus on the revision of a network statement. Now, we may say, well, we didn't get it perfectly right the first time. But remember, this is an iterative process. So getting a network statement out, which is closer or more closely aligned to the needs of the regulator and the shareholder, I think is something that the team has done extremely well. The issue around the cost coverage of TRIM, which is raised around can we afford to sustain the network condition, is an area of concern, and it is an area of concern in the business, in that if we take the current volumes and we multiply them by the IREC tariffs, we don't have enough cost coverage in TRIM. We know that. And that's one of the key reasons why we need to grow the volumes across the network. What we are doing is, in an engagement that Michelle has asked me to build against the strategy, is to identify where these financial shortcomings are in terms of the strategy and an interlinked financial plan, so that we can ask for some support. It's still early days, but some of the people that we're talking to through Andre and others is the World Bank around assisting us with some kind of a bridging funding whilst the volumes ramp up in such a way that we can sustain the quality of the network. I don't think we have anything to report in that space, Moshe, but I think that's an area where we're still working. Then towards the end of the question, the point was posed around how do we see TFR competing? Well, our own analysis shows that we think TFR will hold a very strong market position for at least the next 5 years, and probably longer. They have the huge predominance of equipment, rolling stock. It's in better condition than it was 2-3 years ago. You have all the trained personnel, trained drivers, etc. And it will take the private operators quite some time to get that equipment. They will have to start new operations. They're likely to start small. One of the key areas that has been pushed from the GCE's office is to contract with our existing customers for as longer periods as we can, to ensure that we lock in longer-term contracts to protect TFR's business. I think we've been quite successful there, Michelle, from what I have been able to see. Another area where TFR needs to focus on is where does it wish to position going forward? And I think that's a strategic initiative that OD has begun, and it will probably identify certain PSPs where it can position in, certain market segments where it has strength of operations, good returns, and that's a process that will probably be unpacked over the next financial year. I'm not sure if Moshe wants to add to that, Lerato.
Yeah. Good afternoon again, colleagues. I think just to add to what the GCE and our chief of strategy have said, on the locomotives, I just had a question in terms of locomotives that are coming back. You're aware when the GCE presented that we had 40 of them delivered in last year of new locomotives, 23Es. There's a plan to deliver 47 of those in this year, and more in the following year. Over and above that, we have contracts that have been awarded to return our CRRC locomotives that were obviously long-standing with no spare parts or no components, and those contract has been awarded, as we know, for 68 of those to be brought back, and some more will be awarded in this financial year. So we would see CRRC locomotives coming back, plus the 23Es adding to the fleet that we already have. And TE's plan is to ensure that the fleet that we have is made available continuously and is reliable. I think on the separation, I mean, we've had the separation before. Transnet has experienced separation of the ports, TNP and TPT. So this very similar process is actually evolving with TFR and TRIM. The unique thing about this current separation is the fact that immediately as the separation is being implemented, competitors are being allowed in. That's a major difference between the separation we experienced with the ports. This one, competitors are being given a chance to come in without having to wait for a Section 56 as we did in the ports. I think, and then the last one, this components, in TE, without repeating what the CE has said. I mean, the TE team have got a very solid plan on improving availability of materials, of components, and ensuring that they never stop TFR because they don't have components. I mean, the details will be shared by the CE and her team as they roll out the 5-year strategy communications to the rest of the employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, GCOO. Colleagues, let's take questions from the floor. We'll allow 2 questions. With a show of hands, any questions? Okay, no questions. Let me then,
There's one.
there's one. Okay. We also take comments,
And
compliments
Yes.
as well.
Thank you to the leadership. I think for the first time as a Transnet, I understand where we're going, and I'm ready to support the strategy. Question, with the strategy as is, it's a very new way of doing things and the way of thinking. Are we gonna see any restructuring to support the strategy? Because it's completely different from how we know Transnet. I mean, as we are the role players, now we need to play with other kids. How are we gonna make sure that we are supported and capacitated to be able to execute this strategy? Because it's very interesting. Secondly, where the process are gonna be changing, are we gonna be having deliberate teams that will be made sure that the process are being mapped and rechanged and reinvented? I mean, for example, pricing has always been a secret in Transnet. Are we gonna now seeing the changes where we then get to know how Transnet does pricing? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I can answer.
Greeting colleagues. It's directed to the GC. As we're going to be competing with other contractors, I'm coming from what's this, RNC. We work on contractors. So hence you'll say, when you were saying there's a lot of theft, I think it's coming from there, whereby you'll employ a person for a period of 5 to 10 years, and then you let them go. That person has got skills. And then that person, to add on that, been trained at Transnet. So when I see green pastures, why should I continue working on contract? Every 3 months, I have to sign a contract because it's project-based. Here comes our competitors now. Siemens, I'm just making an example. Siemens come, then absorb that person, and then we're gonna lose. So what are you gonna do when it comes to that regard? Because most of the people at RNC, they're gonna see the opportunity to, okay, let me leave Transnet and go and see the greener pastures. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Do you want me to? Can I start and then you want to go first?
Okay.
You want to save me?
Yes.
He's trying to protect me.
So I think there was a question here in front from Atteridgeville. You know, they ask very difficult questions, those people. And I said, you mustn't ask me difficult questions today. But it's great that you asked that question because it's something that we perhaps have not been addressing quite vociferably or eloquently. It's a question of the reorg that we are doing now. So, you know, but that is at the back of what Michelle said. Our job is to preserve jobs at Transnet, right? That is the fundamental thing that we are employed to do. That is what keeps us coming back day in, day out. But having said that, we have been challenged, and I think Nosipho you know, spoke about the fact that people do ask the question whether we are bloated as an organization or not. And for the longest of time, we've not been able to answer that question in a scientific manner, right? So we are now engaged in a process with partners from outside, a consulting firm, where we are relooking the operating model of Transnet, which would obviously end up with us having to relook the structures of Transnet. We are a business in trouble, and when you are in trouble, you can't keep on doing the same thing and hoping for different results. We've seen the losses of the past while, and we need to arrest those. The pressure continues on us to relook, because I think, Michelle, someone was talking about people who kekeleza, right? They write to us and they say there's a lot of people that kekeleza in this organization. We would be able to answer that question scientifically. We had questions here, I think, that came from the ODs on admin people who are, you know, still in TFR who could be applied in TRIM. So we get in there. We'll answer all those questions through a scientific process that I've just described now. We have presented this to Labour. We have presented this to the Remuneration Committee of the board and the board. We got sign off, and we would, I think at the end of this month, we are coming to the end of that particular process. So it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of long nights, you know, looking at the processes as well, looking at how we structured, so we should be able to answer that question. But at the heart of it, we want to preserve jobs. I think that's the most important thing. The one issue here was mentioned around RNC, Moshe. I think part of the reorg is looking at that operating model as well, right? And perhaps Moshe will spend a little bit more time on that particular subject going forward. So we don't have an answer as yet in terms of how that model would look, the model of contracting, because, you know, you've got over time, you have requirements that, you know, you have to meet, and sometimes you don't have those requirements. So we'll have to build a model that ensures that TRIM is sustainable. Same with TE as well. You see, I think, you know, when the requirement for builds are high, we need to be able to up our capacity there and capability, and when we are at a low, we need to also ensure that we don't have costs that are sitting there idle and costing us, as it were. So I think I've covered the two items.
Yeah, okay, so can I get myself into trouble quickly?
Okay, let's see.
Okay. I think what I would like all of us to do, we must stop thinking of Transnet as an island. Transnet belongs to the people of South Africa. Okay? Everything that we do in Transnet is to better the lives of ordinary South Africans and to move them out of poverty. We're not here to only look after ourselves. Now, we want to save jobs, but we're going to save jobs of the people who work every day. Those are the jobs that we want to save. So everybody must work. Everybody. And there are going to be times in your career when you're going to have to change your career because your purpose is taking you in a particular direction. When I started in Transnet in September 1999, when I went for my interview, I asked, what is it that's going to happen to me in this organization? My plan was to stay for 4 years. I was told in this organization the possibilities are endless. But I had come in thinking I was going to be a lawyer, and I would be a lawyer for Transnet until the time that I leave. I went under Solly's mentorship and I learned operations because I wanted to be a better lawyer, not because I wanted to be in operations. I purely wanted to understand what people are doing outside so that I could go back into my office and draft contracts. And then it turned out it's nicer out there. And I changed my career. But I had to find teachers all over the show. So when we talk about the restructuring of this business and reinventing ourselves, we must be prepared to do those things because that is what our country needs. It's not always going to be about the fact that, oh, you know, my parents nearly died when I told them I'm no longer going to be a lawyer. They said, are you mad? Do you know what we've worked for? I had to say, but I'm going to make my contribution this way. So there are going to be times in your career in Transnet where you're going to have to go where your contribution is needed. And it may be uncomfortable for you when you start off. But then you're going to find how much fulfillment you get because of the difference that you make in that space. We have a unique opportunity in this organization, not only to build and reinvent Transnet, but to leave a legacy such that no one has seen. You will surprise yourself if you allow your mind to just think about those possibilities. So I don't want any of you to be stuck and thinking, oh, I'm going to lose my job. Because you can make that difference. You can make the difference. If you're sitting somewhere and you are bored, my friend, come and talk to me. There's work in this organization. There's work. So let's make it count. Don't be scared to be moving from one place to another. I went from a little town in PE, and I was told that if you don't move from this place, you will never go anywhere. Where? I went to Durban. I didn't even know what job I was going to be doing. True story. The leadership wanted to get rid of me. They didn't know what to do with me. True story, colleagues. I'm not sitting here today because it fell on my lap. You have to be open to change and to do what the country needs so that our children can survive and the next generation can survive. That's it.
Thank you very much, GCE, for that response. Colleagues, I just want to read one comment that we received online. Remember, while we may not be able to respond to your questions today, we will respond after this broadcast for sure. So this comment is from Kego Letswalo, and this is a request in actual fact that she makes to all the OD leaders. Saying in operations department, there are numerous administrative members. However, it has become apparent that only a few are actively contributing, while others are either not engaging or completing minimal tasks each day. The request here is that she's recommending actually an audit to evaluate job outputs and consider reallocating work where it matters. So that is a call from Kego Letswalo. Everyone works. Everyone works. So, Michelle, I think it's important that we close the session. We've had good conversations today, and the strategy direction was very clear. And any closing remarks? Oops.
Marcos.
Bless you.
Marcos.
Marcos.
Yeah. Colleagues, we have come to the end of our broadcast today, and I would like to thank all of you for being in attendance and supporting the strategy for 25-26. But before we officially close, let me hand over to Michelle to give us some closing remarks.
Thank you. I'm not going to be very long because I know it's been a very, very long day, right? But again, colleagues, as we step into 25-26, I want to acknowledge your resilience. I want to acknowledge your hard work. All of this, everything that we've done in this past year, every single employee in Transnet, it's a testament to us working as a team, one family, one goal, right? It's a testament of our collective strength. It demonstrates our ability to overcome. Now, we have a long way to go. We are, as we speak, in very difficult circumstances. The other day, there was an article in the paper that spoke of a crippling strike. It was not my intention to speak about that. What is important for us as we go and we whisper in the ears of our people, we have worked so hard. Let not that hard work be brought to naught, because it is in our power to save this organization, to grow this organization, but also to destroy it. It's not going to be my legacy. We in this room, and those of us 50,000 people outside in Transnet working, we are not going to be called to account for destroying this organization, because we will not allow it. So as we go back to our workplaces, as we reflect on the past and on the fact that we are not going back to the 150s and the 160s, we are moving towards 180, 190, and 200. Those are the numbers that we will talk about every day. When we look in the mirror, we're going to say, hi, 180. And when we go to work, we're going to say, that's where we're going, right? We are clear about our responsibilities in this organization. Whether I'm a cargo controller on the quayside in Cape Town, whether I'm a train driver, whether I'm in Kuruspoort, Kilner Park, wherever you are, we are going to take this company forward. And anyone amongst us, we are good at converting people. We will convert you. We will convert you because we are important to this country of ours. So everywhere we go, the message is clear. Nobody is going to take away this organization from us. We will hand it over if we need to, but she's going to be up there. She's going to be up there. You know what I'm saying? She's going to be up there. This organization of Transnet, we will build, and we will continue to build. Because when we build Transnet, it is the beat of this country. It is the heartbeat. It is the veins. We will pump until we can pump no more. So anybody who is confused about why we are in Transnet, I get letters from people every day. Have that conversation with me. We will, what's my word? Unconfuse. Afrikaans is if English is my second language, so I will unconfuse you. We are not going to allow anybody to destroy this organization. 160, tick. 180, tick, tick. Right? We will do this, colleagues. We will do this. We will pull each other, and if one of us is struggling and falling, we lift them up, and we talk strength, and we continue to move on. Okay? Now, as we go back, again, please be kind to each other. Thank you, and God bless.
Colleagues, today was indeed an important moment in our journey, one that marks not just the close of the financial year, but the beginning of a very new, bold chapter within Transnet. This is our first push. Let's make this year count. And thank you for your contributions and for your continued contributions. And as we look forward into this financial year, we continue and deliver with excellence. Thank you for your time.
Colleagues, please be settled. Please be settled. There's a surprise for you outside, but we are going to be very good about getting this surprise. We are not going to all go outside at once. We're going to go outside per row. From the row at the front, please stand up and go outside to get your surprise. Then we will follow per row. Please be settled, colleagues. We are going to have order today. The first row, please be quick. Thank you. Please, let's go. Hold on, hold on. Outside, ma'am. Yeah. I know we've been here for long, unless you don't want the surprise. You don't want it. In the meantime, just know your size, please. In the meantime, think about your size, your t-shirt size. Think about it. Don't get there and say I'm medium, I'm extra large, I'm medium, I'm small.